Can you hear us, Abby?
Good morning, I can hear you.
Good morning, thank you.
Mike Delson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald, Jennifer Finley. Here. Jim Molitor. Carol Langford. Danielle Matt. Bing Matt. James Steele Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Martin Charlo.
Present.
Len Tuteeth.
Here.
Lanice Trahan.
James, will you give us a prayer this morning?
Ekulan Sutin Lemlimsh Yesu Kli. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the moisture today. We thank you for our beautiful homeland, our reservation. We ask that you watch over all of our loved ones, our tribal members that are ill and recovering. Give them speedy recovery. Those that have lost loved ones, comfort their hearts and minds. We also pray for dear leader Ernie Stevens and his family and National Indian Gaming Association and the Oneida Nation. We ask that you would comfort them as they plan and get ready for Ernie's wake and funeral and such. We ask that you would give us guidance today over our meeting. We also ask that you would help our people that are struggling with addiction in any form and mental health. We ask that you would comfort them and give them direction. And thank you for this day. Amen.
Thank you, James. We have minutes from September 25th, last Thursday.
Motion.
Motion by Carol to approve the September 25th minutes with any corrections. Second by Jimmy. All in favor? Got 6-4. Bing abstains and Tom is out of the room. We do have an agenda for today. Any addition to the agenda? One walk-in. Jennifer and exec. Carol has 2. James. Martin. I have 1 anyway. Nothing else? I'd entertain a motion. Motion by Tom to approve the agenda with the corrections. Second by Martin. All in favor? We're unanimous. Sonny, come on up. Morning.
Is that on? I seen a green light on the other one. This one's red, so.
Yeah, the green light is when they're just starting up, showing it's actually happening. So red is perfect.
Okay, I'm glad we got rain too. But I'm just here to see if there's a program that can assist me with getting a generator. Cause I need electricity for hot water, for my hot water heater. And on Marketplace, there was one, this Holly Cooper from Arley has a Duramax 12,000 XLT generator for $1,000. It's new in box. But I need a generator because Corky left them a couple weeks ago or more. Left a envelope, had him leave an envelope on the room that I'm staying at up in Polson. And he wanted to check on my generator, and he had Dan from the Elders program come out and look at it. And then I called him back, and I haven't got no answers back the last couple times I've called him. But I need a generator so I can have hot water, and then I could free up a room down there, because it's like $100 a day is what when I signed up in there that they charge. Yeah. Huh?
Must be DHRD.
DHRD or something. Teresa Well McDonald had something to do with it.
You say Corky had Dan look at your generator?
Yeah, because he just said that if my generator was running, then I wouldn't need to be there. And I said, yeah. I said, but it quit, so I don't know what's wrong with it. And my hands don't work so good somewhere, so I can't really do mechanical stuff no more. So then that's when Dan and his assistant, I didn't know the guy, came out and looked at it, and I just think it's wore out myself, because I bought it used a couple of years ago, and I've only used it like during the nights and stuff, so we could have hot water, because the only other way I can heat water is like put water in a big pot and put it on my wood stove. And then I got those my camp stove that I use, those little propanes to heat up water to do dishes and stuff. But
No,
I haven't had no generator for about a month and a half, almost 2 months now.
I can check in with Corky to see exactly what they found out, and check with Michelle on if there's any program.
I've tried to call him a couple times, and he's never returned my calls.
Understood.
So I don't know if there was a way you could like purchase this for me or whatever, so I could have hot water and go back home.
Well, that's what I'll inquire with Michelle about what kind of programs we have that might be able to do that. But I'll find out from Corky what happened with yours, and I'll inquire from Michelle what programs might be able to help you.
Okay, because like I said, because I talked to Dan after that, because I went over to DHRD or to the Elders program, and I asked him, well, you haven't been back, and he goes, well, they just said to go out and look and see if it ran or not. And I went out there and tried to start it, and it wouldn't run. It was getting gas and everything else. That's why I think that it's just wore out. There's like no compression, so you need to have compression for the engine to fire. And I think that's the problem, is this, the rings and stuff are just bad.
I understand. We'll check with them as well as with who might have a program that can help.
Should I just go over there and see him then, or what?
I'll get a report from them, and Michelle Mitchell is the other person that I'll inquire of about programs that might help you. You could go make an appointment to see her. And
Michelle who?
Mitchell.
Michelle Mitchell, where's she at?
I imagine hopefully upstairs.
Up here? Oh, up there.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll go up and see her. Michelle Mitchell.
Hold on a minute, son.
Comment or a suggestion, maybe we need to check with property and supply and see if we even have one that we're not using. Sometimes they're just sitting out there and never been used. But yeah, I think we should have the staff from property and supply see if we have one on inventory. You never know.
Okay, well, I don't have gas to run all over. I gotta save gas for Tuesday to go to Missoula to my foot doctor to have my foot looked at again.
We'll do some inquiring, Sonny. Get to you today.
So when will I hear back? Do you know?
I'm hoping to give you a call by the end of the day.
All right, well, I gotta go home and make a fire. All right, thank you.
Have a good day. Jennifer,
I have another walk-in.
thanks, Sonny. Nope, we're just getting ready.
Okay, the other walk-in will be Mary Rose and Nori.
Morning, Mary Rose.
That's quite special. Can you hear me now? Okay. In front of you just have a modification for my contract. We're looking to increase the date to 9/30/2027, as well as down in Article 3, modify the compensation because we were awarded some additional funding on our BIL funding. And the amount would go up to $2,390,618. Sorry, guys. Cotton mouth. And that's what I'm asking for today.
Questions? Motion by Tom to approve the modification to contractor agreement number 22311 -1 to change the expiration date to 9/30/2027 and to increase the amount up by $435,567. Second by Carol, or question? Go ahead.
Yeah, what are your plans for this funding?
For this funding, we've got some more elders, projects coming up. We have finishing on the bathhouse. That's all done. We just got to finish the reports on that. And I believe Tribal Health has a building they want me to take a look at.
And elders, like what kind of work for elders?
Like right now, we're in the process that we need to finish in this coming fiscal year. Small Salmon had a house that had asbestos and lead in it. We assessed that as well as trying to do a demo in this next couple months.
A motion by Tom, second by Martin. Okay, second by Carol. You,
Congratulate you on the extension, extra funding this
So
time.
much.
all in favor? We're unanimous.
Okay, I'm much.
Thank you, Mary Rose.
Have a good day.
You too. Carol, you had a couple issues this morning?
Yeah, one was regarding an issue I think me and Len have been working on with is it Brian Orr on Jory Hunter. She's got a water issue going on, and I know Michelle Mitchell is trying to work through the process, but I heard yesterday that she's losing 7,000 gallons of water underneath her house. That sounds kind of like a lot. The house would probably float away. But anyway, she's had this issue for quite a while. She's got cancer. And like I said, Michelle's working through it, but I think we need to get it fixed. It's been going on way too long, right, Len? I mean, don't you think it has been? And there's a guy, his last name I think is Reese, and he quoted $1,000 to have it fixed. Well, now he's not sure after looking at it. It might be a little bit more, but I think we just need to authorize somehow to get it done. It's just too long.
Len was looking into funding for that yesterday.
Just to add to that, one of the holdups was funding, which program to utilize to pay for it. So I reached out to Greg. Greg is going to start looking at some funding sources. We figured anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 is what would be needed. And I thought that we may have already entered into a contract with this other individual, and we have not yet. So there is opportunity to utilize a tribal member contractor that has already put in a quote for it. That would be able to get on a project right away. The problem with the other two tribal member contractors, I should say, was they had other things going, so they were unable to start on a project right away. So, but yeah, Carol was right. They figured she's losing about 7,000 gallons a day just from the leak itself, and it's something that we need to help her with before it freezes or the snow flies. But yeah, well, I'll ask Greg for an update to see if he did find any funding, so we were able to get started on it right away.
Thank you, Lynn.
I suggested families first, OCS, or dire need, and a combination of all three of those might be able to handle it if they would just figure it out.
What was your second issue, Carol?
Since we can't really make a decision on that until we have more information, is there a chance that we could ask maybe Rick Eneas or Jason and Jeffrey Claremont to look at it, gather the information and bring it back to us? Or I know that's going to cost money, and I know James Bible, that's who Mark Church suggested we reach out to, but he's got his too many plate full, and pretty soon we're going to end up losing this property. And if we don't want it, let's tell Mark we're not interested so he can move on.
We'll inquire into who can do that, gather that information. I was thinking land would, but go ahead.
Well, I think, thank you, Mr. Chair. As I brought up yesterday, getting somebody assigned to it. Maybe Mr. Gillespie would be the one to analyze the books.
I'll ask.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Why we're analyzing the books? It seems like you could look at a contract on what each company is paying. Is that what you mean by look at the books? Oh, yeah. It's like, I think we're getting too far in the weeds like we did with what's his name. And it's like, do I really care? Because what we do there is what's going to make the money. But I understand. Thank you, Tom.
Before we go into the rest of our council issues, I see Brad's here. Let's go ahead and get Brad's issue taken care of. Brad came in about the judge's contract yesterday. We were looking at waiving the requirement in the PD and what? Yeah. And amending his contract. Yeah. Good, Tom.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we had this position open up. It's a partial term. So it's a 4-year term, and Brad, sought out a replacement person that we all supported, and we supported that action and made that action possible to put Mr. Dupuy in it to refill the remaining 25% of the term, which is 1 year. And extraordinary circumstances, it's difficult to find housing back here on the reservation, and it's only for 1 year. So I would make the motion to, with that difficulty in the housing situation, to waive or remove that in contract, make a contract modification for Mr. Dupuy to waive the requirement they live on the reservation. And also do the correlation, personal action form to make that a temporary change in the position description also.
Okay.
Second by Jennifer. Go ahead.
Brad, so we'll have to advertise next time, right? Okay, so advertise early enough so Mr. Dupuy understands that that's,
Yeah, I sat and talked with him yesterday and told him what the council was doing, or was going to do, and that it was only going to be for a year, that this was waived, that he would have to find housing on the reservation. He understood that, and in fact, he went to, from right after I talked, he went to Lands to get on a home site lease list that he thought would be available in January, so hopefully it works out for him, so.
All in favor? Unanimous.
Okay, I will have our law clerk modify the contract and bring it over for signature. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. James. You were going to have an issue.
Yeah, just a question on what the contract is for NARS. Did we get that figured out with them, or? Because my intent wasn't to make the motion for somebody else to sign, it was for the chair to sign it. But also I still think we should work with them and just say we don't want tribal members charged, so. And if they can't modify that, then we do something different, but I'd still like to work with them. I think we just need to let them understand that it's not acceptable to have tribal members being charged whatever they're charging them, so.
There were other issues that we got to investigate a little bit more too, but Teresa and Michelle are working on a new MOU.
Okay, so when should we see that then?
I'm hoping to see that this week.
Okay.
Martin?
My annual, got a powwow coming up, celebration next, what's next? The 13th, I'll just say the date of October at Harris Park. We'll do a 2:00 grand entry, and we'll run through contests, both adult and probably combined, younger people, teens and juniors. And then afterwards, a new thing that we're gonna try is have a small stick game tournament after. So if you know any stick game players, let them know. The election date's the 11th for the primary. We have quarterly coming up Friday. We have a trip to the Bitterroot, to the Medicine Tree. That is next Thursday. So busy.
Oh,
Yeah, and this reminded me of something. If you don't, please allow me this conversation. The housing issue and difficulty in finding a place. And I have one place that hopefully will come up for rent here shortly, and a list of people that want to rent it. But that situation we had out on Rocky Point reminded me of an opportunity that maybe that transaction gives us an opportunity to look at other home site leases that are already in the hopper that could be split in two and provide an instant opportunity for people to place a second home site. So, because there are quite a few home site leases out there that are large in their footprint, and they're already gone through the whole opportunity or been vetted for environmental and all those things. So it's a dedicated home site property that we own, and we codify that with a home site lease with individuals. So if there's already a home site lease out there, let's say like the example that was presented, and we're working on trying to make that a legal residence for one of our staff persons. We break them into two and have two home site leases. What an opportunity. So we have a housing shortage. I'm just thinking outside the box of any way we can try to meet that need. If there are willing home site lease people, and you think about the normal way that people subdivide their property to family members. They build a home right next door for their children or something like that. It's pretty common that this is the way that's really the only way it is affordable, is to try to do it in that nature. So why wouldn't we try to replicate that and provide that for, say, a family member that has a home site lease and they have a child that needs a home and their acreage is big enough, they could put another house on that home site lease. Let's break it apart and let's issue 2 home site leases. Let's get it done. That seems to me like a reasonable alternative to some of our pressure points that we have. So just wanted to bring that up and thinking about Mr. Dupuy and other folks that are in that situation. So just something for Lands Committee meeting, I guess. Thank you.
I know we had requests kind of like that from a family in Hot Springs, last year. The one issue that I have is it was at my district meeting last Friday. I got to talk to a couple individuals who had deer die in their yards in Hot Springs, and so they talked to the game wardens, and they did want to thank the game wardens for their activity. They came over immediately and took care of business, and were quite cordial about dealing with them. But since then, I had a report from Whisper that there actually have been at least 55 deer die in Hot Springs, with probably 10 to 15 more on Camas Prairie. And they're reporting some out of Plains and some out of Eureka, and it is what's called EHD, epizootic hemorrhagic disease. It's a sister to blue tongue, I guess. It's pretty close to the same thing as blue tongue. It's not contagious. It's caused by a small midge that has, if given warm weather, like in the fall, like we've had, it'll have a hatch and end up with these midges everywhere. And it really affects the white-tailed deer more than anything. I guess it'll affect elk. I think they said they had a couple elk on Camas Prairie that they are thinking it might have been. But at least 70 animals so far over on that side. Whisper said that a white-tailed deer, when they're affected by a midge, within 10 days they die. And so that they look like they're in perfect health, except they're dead. And some people were wondering if it was chronic wasting disease. Well, the deer look a lot different when they're suffering from chronic wasting disease. So, and I left word with the mayor of Hot Springs, as well as the commissioner from the Hot Springs area over in Sanders County. So I asked her if a hunter takes a deer that looks fine. She said more than likely they're fine. If they're affected, they're going to look lethargic, have their head down, and I guess their tongue swells is a major problem. So kind of an epidemic, but she said that the cool weather will come, and within 10 days, it basically is gone because it kills things within 10 days. Kathy.
And that makes them thirsty. And so then they go close to water sources, and that's where they also might die. But I was curious, is it contagious? Can you eat the meat? You know?
It doesn't sound like it affects anything except these deer. I guess it does affect cattle, but the symptoms are hardly noticeable. Paul?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, it's there's 2 of them. They're like this blue tongue and what I can't say the words.
EHD.
And it's there's so many diseases we have that have been increasing based on climate change. And the warmer the climate, the longer the season, the more we have these diseases present. The first things you notice were like, the beetle kills in the forest. And then you may notice like more yellow jackets or this or that. It's all consequence of climate change. The ticks were the worst ones that I saw, where the warming temperatures left quantities of ticks that we've never seen before, and moose. completely covered with ticks, like it was a tick fur. It's the most grotesque thing you ever saw. And so that's what this is, the midges and flies. There's a brain fly that's actually infecting mule deer. That's another similar kind of situation. That one is troubling because that one actually is transmitted to humans. But for the most part, and we always caution people, if they see a sick animal, don't eat it. Just stay away from it, no matter what, because you don't know if it is chronic wasting disease or not until you do that brainstem analysis. So anytime an animal is seeking water, lethargic, suffering from fever like that, we recommend not to eat them at all. But you're right, Kathy, exactly what they do. They go down to the river bottoms. It was like about 10 years ago, we had a massive kill off along the Clark Fork, all the way down that way where we had about 1,500 deer that died. There was a massive kill off with the same disease over in Nez Perce land a couple of years ago. They lost, I think, 3,500, 3,700 deer because of it. But it's the consequences of, I call it a climate change consequence, because you end up with these out of sequence, out of skewed populations because of the warming temperatures. These longer seasons have their side effects. We may have enjoyed it, but now we see one of the consequences of it. So bring on the cold weather, bring on the rain. That'll be a reprieve from this particular one.
Well, I had suggested also that the roadkill, they could take them, and now that we're making a meat processing in Ronan, maybe they could have a place where and make dog food, animal food, whatever. I don't know if these that die from this, excuse me, this sickness could be used for that. But just to throw it away makes me sick.
I know they're composting some of them.
Yeah, I think in order to put it into the food chain, whether animals or humans, an animal we think is sick has to be tested first. And so that was one of the important things about having our food processing plant for our hunters, is that we can actually have a place now to store animals, even when they're healthy. And they can bring it there, store it, get it tested before we even cut it up. We know if it's good or not. And I think that's going to be a great service to our hunters. And for that particular reason, like roadkill. You think about roadkill, you don't know if the animal was sick or not before it got hit. But that's having a place to hang meat for a while till we get it tested is, I think, imperative for a future of hunting wild meat.
Any other thoughts on epizootic hemorrhagic disease?
Yes, I think we should have our communications officer put out an article about it. So we educate people about what it is, because I've never heard of it. So there's probably other people who do the same questions we have. Is it contagious? Can you eat the meat from it? All that. So I think there should be an article in the Charcusta about it.
Yep. James? We got a little time.
Okay. The other thing I forgot to mention was, last week I was made the president of the Montana Budget Policy Center. So be that for a year. Madeline Quinlan was I was vice president for like, I don't know, 8 years, I think. Been a number of years, but that happened last week too. So thank you.
That's cool. Jennifer, you want to go into exec now or when we go into exec? Okay. We'll do that when we go into exec with legal. That brings us to our agenda. Did Ron disappear?
But we have Patty here too, though.
Rain right there.
Yeah. Come on up, Patty.
No, right?
The one that says talk.
There we go. You can tell I do this often, right? So the reason I'm in here today is because I failed to get my September GSA and September Exxon from 2024, which was the first billing for fiscal year 25. From Property and Supply to get it done. And I didn't realize that until about a month ago. And so I got the paperwork from them and got it done. But of course, we have to have approval because it's beyond the 2-month limitation now under the new JE rules. So I really don't have any excuse other than I just overlooked it for a long time. We were kind of in transition between my counterpart that replaced me leaving and one of our other administrative finance staff left the middle of October. I came in and I kind of been working almost full time since then to keep up with stuff. We hired a new girl in January, but we haven't got her, like, she didn't know the process at the time, right? And so I am here to see if you guys will approve my JE so that we can get them on the books for fiscal year 25 before it closes.
We won't make Patty beg. Motion.
Motion by Carol,
Approve the journal entry.
second by Tom to approve the journal entries for Division of Fire. All in favor? We're unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patty.
Ask him a question.
Quick break, unless you guys want to go in executive for Jennifer's issue.
We'll go out of regular into executive.
Professor in the School of Pharmacy, and we've been working with the Tribal Health Department for the past 18 years on a variety of research projects to improve medication response. And so we're passing out a few flyers today on some of our more recent research results. So a project around tobacco cessation and using genetic information to improve helping people quit using tobacco products. And then another research looking at vitamin D levels. These are both research projects that have been approved by the Tribal Research and Review Board. One has been published, the other is going to be submitted for publication soon. So happy to answer questions that you might have on that. But as Lindsay said, we're here today to talk about a Pathways Symposium that we're going to be holding at the Quatucknuck on October 14th and 15th. This is our third annual symposium. The first 2 years were in Missoula, and we're really excited to host it in Missoula, in Polson this year. The goal of the symposium is to hear from community members and researchers and people who participate in clinical studies about some of the challenges or uniqueness about conducting research in rural communities and in tribal communities. So I'll let Karen talk a little bit more about some of the agenda there. But we are really excited this year to be partnering with Tribal Health to offer a community health and research fair for the first half of October 14th. We're going to, as Lindsay said, have some health screenings. Karen can talk about some of the kits that we'll be bringing from the University of Montana. And then we're also going to have booths set up so that community members can talk to researchers and hear about some of the results that have come out of some of the research projects with us, as well as other folks around U of M in the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and
The microphone in front of you, Karen. Just push the button. Is it? Oh, you have to use the other. There you go.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council for having us here today. I think that Erica gave a really great summary of our goals of the symposium, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but we are really excited to be bringing it to the Quatucknuck Resort and to invite members of the community to join us for this research and health fair so they can participate in these tribal health-led screenings and then also talk to some vendors about local research that's going on, the results of that research, and any opportunities that there may be to participate in further research. we're really excited to also be offering breakfast as well and to be giving away some raffles for folks who want to participate in these health fair screenings. And we would really be honored if anyone from the council was able to attend the symposium.
They might have bacon, Tom.
And, AT&I.
Questions for Eric or Karen? Martin, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you wanted to come and pass out the save the dates at the powwow on the 13th at Caris Park, the Indigenous Peoples Day, please do that. Feel free to look, or if you want a table, you do that as well. So
We definitely are planning on attending the powwow, and we were encouraging people who are attending the meeting to go as well. That would be great if we could table. Yeah, we hadn't thought about that, but.
Well, I got a motion by Jennifer to approve the change of duty for those 2 hours. Second by Jimmy. All in favor? You're unanimous for the change of duty.
Thank you. We appreciate you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And how should we, oh, thank you.
Have a good day. Good to see.
Like joining the CIA and what's really on.
So next we're looking for Les, huh?
Yes, I sent a message for him to come in early and so did Tony. We're just waiting on him. And Casey's on his way too as well. So just a couple of minutes. Blesses.
Morning, Rusty.
There we go. All right. Good morning, everyone. For those that don't know me, Rusty Sidnor, CSKT Fisheries Program. Les is out of town today, so I'm here in his place. But just wanted to request approval for 2 capital expenditures under a BPA account that we manage. This is not our normal Hungry Horse mitigation fund or the secure and restore account that Lynn manages for land acquisition. This is a separate account that was created when for a couple of our mitigation properties that we purchased, we were able to carve off parts of those properties and then liquidate them for other uses. So that money came back into this special fund. So we have, for fiscal year 2026, we have 2 capital expenditures that we'd like to pursue under this account. One for a skid steer loader piece of equipment, and then the second item is a side-by-side ATV. And Les has been working with Ruth Swaney, has all the paperwork to her. So we're here today to request approval to proceed with the 2 capital expenditures under this BPA fund.
Motion by Bing to approve the capital expenditures for the compact track loader and the six-wheeled side-by-side. Second by Tom. All in favor? We're unanimous.
Okay,
Thank you, Rusty.
all right. Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Tom.
How many hours you got on your other one?
Oh, my goodness. Our other one is 20 years old now. I believe it's somewhere in the 8,000 to 9,000 hour range. So we're hoping to make this one last another 20 years.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, where are you purchasing these?
We're not quite sure yet. I'll start working with Property and Supply within the next couple of weeks to pursue the best prices and the best piece of equipment that's going to fit our needs. So we're just at the early stages of that right now.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, my underlying ponderings is just that we have a general idea, not just for this, but all of the different purchases that we make as a tribe and the impacts upon our economy, particularly Ronan Power Products or whomever, that when we need somebody on our side that they remember who's buying a chunk of stuff from them.
I got you. Yep. So the more local, the better.
Well, not necessarily,
Well,
but wherever you get the best deal, whether
Yes.
it's on res or off, but
yeah.
He's referring to Ronan Power Products seems to forget that
yeah,
we help them.
exactly.
Good point.
Just, they need a friendly reminder. We buy a lot of stuff from them and
Yes.
we don't appreciate them not being friendly. But on the bigger scale, we should actually own our own power products, our own car dealership or whatever we're buying stuff from. We should be owning that.
Yep.
Instead of we're kind of, we're people of vision, but we're really short-sighted at times. And, if we're buying these equipment, why aren't we buying them from ourselves?
Right.
And I don't know how we get to that point, but
I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think Ronan Power Products has Can-Am products, so. Thank you, Rusty.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.
All right. You too.
I just sent you all an email for what needs to be added at the end of the day. Rich or Tony, will the next item be an open or executive?
Rich, were you gonna give the update or is Casey giving the update? Oh, okay, cool. Appreciate that. Good morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right here.
No, go ahead.
So, Rich and Tony, you guys know you're hosting the next Transboundary Mining Conference.
I heard a rumor. Yeah.
We'll be ready. The interesting thing is that for next fall, you know, the time frame, it's late summer, fall. Resort may be remodeling the conference rooms at that point in time. So it may be something we have to facilitate over at the college. Yeah. So you may want to talk with them, and even they have some construction going also. So there could be might be a tight time frame, or you might have to pick a window or a date that fits one of the two facilities construction limitations.
Yeah, it was, we're trying to gather information from them. We told them we accepted, you know, that we would love to host it. We just want to know some details. It sounded more like it's not as, doesn't have like a conference or symposium type subgroup such as ITC or someone that helps organize it, whoever's hosting it. And then it's variable depending on each site too, if there's a registration fee, if there's not. And so there was options for us to explore more to see what it would cost for us to host. And then if we wanted to apply a registration fee, or if we needed to come to council and ask for a hosting budget of some sort. But we're still in that early discussions with that program to figure that out.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Tony, the first conference was put on by Upper Columbia Tribes, UCUT, and they financed it with a grant from the nonprofit out of Seattle. They were the big one helping to fight. No, not Potlatch. It's another. I can give you the name, but the gentleman from UCUT, was he Colville? What's his name?
Mark.
Mark.
Gauthier?
Yeah, Rich knows Mark. He's been the main organizer in the past.
Yeah, they brought up that potential of having that grant or that other outside funding aid it also. So like I said, trying to figure out the options, trying to figure out the timing, when, and then where, and then how much. So.
Cool. Morning, Casey.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Hey, everybody.
That mic is messed up. That mic is messed up. You're gonna have to use the one that way.
Right. That one still doesn't work.
It's broken.
You weren't kidding. That sounds better. Besquex, Dukisu Quitnam, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and members of council, thank you for the opportunity to visit with you today. Our issue today is on page 9 of your packet. We are here today to present on a potential mitigation project in the Jocko Valley. So as council is aware, there is 6 projects in the Jocko Valley that are either active now or will be active here within the next 3 to 5 years. That includes projects down in the Jocko Valley, as well as projects up in the headwaters of the Jocko, including at the North Fork diversion. So with that, there are some temporary safety closures that have been enacted as part of those projects and around those job sites. And so we have been exploring some opportunities to mitigate the temporary restriction of access into those areas of traditional use for our peoples. So as we've been exploring options and having some discussion with leadership, we have identified a potential project that we think is pretty promising. So within the South Fork primitive area, we've recently become aware that there are several bridges within the South Fork that have failed in the last couple of years. And we've done a preliminary bridge inventory up there that has revealed some additional deferred maintenance and potential safety concerns. So there are about 10 bridges on that main 2000 road heading up towards Whitehorse Lake, and then several other adjacent bridges to that. So with that, in thinking about ways to mitigate some of the loss to our areas of traditional use, that's a project that has come to the top of our list of potential mitigation projects that we were excited about. But before we proceed into any sort of scoping or formal action, we wanted to visit with tribal council and about that opportunity.
Thoughts about the possible reconstruction and maintenance on bridges? Paul?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Great ideas. These are all going to be metal or concrete bridges.
Long lasting.
So it's a great idea. Yeah, certainly support it. I think the one I have to reflect back when we talk about roads and bridges and the great debate we've always had about the Jocko and the roads and gravel roads versus paved roads, et cetera. When Mike and I were up to Libby Dam, last month, I guess it was, or beginning of the month. If you ever go up there and spend time in the forest, their forest roads are all paved. And of course, that was in conjunction with fairly large Forest Service budget, but also mitigation from Libby Dam. And they paved all these roads. It's quite interesting. I mean, we took a cutoff road getting up there that I hadn't been on, and I hunt up there a lot. And there's this paved road. What a beautiful thing to be able to drive and not have to deal with dust or washboards, or you still drive slow. That was always a great debate we've had here since I've been with the tribes. Should we pave a main road? Should we pave something and improve it that way, or is that increase use? Does it increase safety concerns with speed? Was there some other particular runoff issue that might be a problem? It's always been a great debate. So I know that one of the Lake County commissioners had mentioned the need for dust abatement for Lake County, and that they were always willing to do the cold pave, the cheap way out, but it's one way to do dust abatement. But the cold pave, if the tribes were able to provide the oil, they would do that on any road in Lake County. There'd be their contribution if we just bought the oil. But that's a pretty nice offer. I don't know if they'd ever live up to it or not, but the only thing I can think of as far as recreational opportunity, at least for the main stem of the Jocko, is to improve the dust abatement. Because it in itself can be, we talked about it Monday, and Rich asked me what some of the comments were on Monday, but I think Bing talked about it, about how he had to stop on the road for like 5 minutes. Yeah, a couple minutes just to let the dust clear when he's going up there hunting. And it was from the traffic from the construction work that's going on by Dewar. So I guess the other opportunity I'd like to consider would be that aspect of doing some permanent dust abatement wherever possible in some of the locations. But definitely the bridges are problematic, and they certainly provide access to an important area. As a person that's probably worked on every one of them, I can certainly support the bridge requests, definitely. Thank you.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. I think when I think about oiling a road, are there more ecologically sustainable ways to do that? Are there other things? And just doing a quick Google search, so I'm not an expert in this, there's some people are using beet juice for dust control. So are there other options that would be non-toxic for the environment that we could use to oil the roads? I think I would be interested in that because I think dust pollution is a real thing, and it's really aggravating, especially if you have any kind of lung issues or anything like that, but is there a way we could do it that does not harm the environment? What are the alternatives?
So the application of oil that was done on the Jocko Canyon Road in front of the residents that are there in June or July, that is a combination of mag chloride and beet juice. The beet juice mixed in combination with mag chloride will make the product last about 4 times longer than just mag chloride by itself. There's, of course, goods and bads to it all. Beet juice by itself is a light traffic application. It will hold for a bit and then just disintegrates. When mag chloride is used too much, you can get leaching. When it rains, it will kill vegetation alongside the road, trees, grasses. It's toxic to plants. So there's a balance point of too much is not necessarily a good thing. But another alternative, I don't know cost wise, would be demilled asphalt. When they resurface a highway or anything, they go through and grind the upper couple inches off before they repave it. That stuff actually makes great aggregate to put on roads. And then you roll it down, and when the sun heats it up, that asphalt will re-tackify itself and pretty much turns into a paved road. I don't know, like I said, what it would take to get our hands on enough of that stuff to do it, but there are alternatives to, you know, each thing. That road, I think I took and looked, and it's 32,000 feet, linear feet from the North Fork cut across to that intersection at the upper S, and then about another 30,000 feet down to where the Canyon Road starts or the pavement ends. The application of mag chloride and beet juice is about $2.40 a linear foot. So it gets expensive real quick. I said it was put on just in front of the residences this year, and I looked at the budget that was expended on that, and there was around 28,000 spent on that in just the dust control. DAC has also been doing road maintenance on that road. It's flat, it's smooth, it's, you know, people are going to drive faster on it because the road's in such great shape, but there's been about $108,000 to $110,000 in just road maintenance costs on that this year alone. So I know we have signage up. The county did lower the speed limit to 25 miles an hour. Those heavy trucks, I went up there 3 different times to, I guess, observe complaints that I had heard also. And each of those times I was up there, I did see Dick Anderson construction trucks and Glacier Sand and Gravel and Condon Johnson all on the road. They were doing 20 miles an hour. They're driving real slow. And when I meet them, they would just pull off to the side of the road as far as they could get. But being, you know, an average of 70 feet long and being what they weigh, there's a lot of dust even at that speed. You know, the glacial flour that's mixed in with the aggregates around here is just terrible stuff. You get on a dirt road over on the east side of the state and you don't get that dust. It's just because of the aggregates in the area that are used on roads. They're terrible. But
I think this got Bing and then Tom.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, like Tom said, I was up there all week last week. And we come out Thursday, I believe. And then we went back in, we met a truck there. Right at the Crystal Creek turnout. Right there. And when he went by us, we had to literally stop to let the dust go by. I mean, he was not going no 20 mile an hour. I guarantee you. And, those areas that you did put gravel in front of these residents, those areas don't get washboard. All the areas, those areas that just have the gravel on them, that's washboard as hell. Excuse my language. All through there. You're just bouncing all the way up that road there to South Fork Gate. And it's a bugger when you have to shake up and down all the way up that Jocko Road. It's long enough because really there's no chuck holes in it right now. But just to fight those those bumps that you gotta fight all the washboard and stuff there all the time. It gets to be a pain in the tail, when you gotta go up there and just bounce all the way up the road and it's and fight that. But like say, when there's residents there, they don't have that problem. There's no washboard at all in those areas. And it's nice. And you're talking about the bridges, South Fork. There's a couple up there right now. One has a hole in the side of it. And I think that's the one at Happy's Crossing. There's one right at the corner of it, but it's okay. It's not bad. So there's a board, I think, sticking up in that bridge right now, so nobody hits that hole. But further up, there was another one that looked like they added some plank on top of that bridge where it goes across instead of going with the way the bridge planks go. They went across, so they wouldn't. I don't know if there was a pole there or not, but they're going away. And then you got to go up, I think, get on the bridge there. But it's good that you're going to replace those bridges because the one at Happy's Crossing, it hasn't been replaced in a long time. Down at the Belmore Bridge, or whatever you got to call it. Went up at next one up there at next bridge up. It's a cement bridge, or steel bridge there. And it's good. It's a good bridge. But all the rest of those smaller bridges, all the way up, they do need to be replaced because there's, I think, like you said, there's probably about 8 of them above those 2 big bridges there. That need to be replaced, plus the one just past. What's the name of that? Going up. Lost it. But anyway, there's one bigger bridge up the road further that needs to be replaced to just above the Bulls Meadows turnoff. That one there is getting to be kind of bad too. But the rest of them, the smaller ones, they're hanging in there, but they're going to have to be replaced. We was talking guys yesterday too about the trucks and whatnot up there. And I was up there, we went up there the other day and went around the backside up there where they're having where they have all that stuff stockpiled up there for the bridges and the things that they're going to do to the canal. Surprised me how big an area that they used to opened up there to use with all their supplies in there. A couple of areas up there are pretty good size that they clear cut. They put that stuff in there. We didn't think it was going to be that big of an area just to put that equipment in there. But there's quite a bit of area in there that they opened up and put in there. So I just wonder if there's going to be what's going to be done with that after that contract's done.
Yeah, we'll reclaim them, of course, and preservation gave us the area off of the main Jocko Road and we only used less than half the area they designated available to us. So they authorized us to use up to 8 acres, and we're down in the 2 to 3 acre range there. So we've tried to minimize that footprint, but that's what preservation set aside for us in that area. And then we're only on the road to the North Fork trailhead, we're only using approximately half of the area that was designated as available. So it's a big construction project. We're using as small an area as we can, and less than was consulted on and permitted through NEPA, ESA, and cultural clearance. So, yeah, it is a big area though.
Tom, you were gonna.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to reflect on the amount of cost that the mitigation is already doing for dust. Whether it's mag chloride or oil or whatever, and those sites. So that's the kind of thing where, if there's a way to collaborate with Lake County, and all we're providing is the oil or the tar, and it's a cold pave project, and they're going to do it all. Why not do that? At least in my opinion, it seems like that would be good. Then it's more of a permanent solution for a longer duration. The cold pave is, people refer to it as a really inferior type of a asphalt job, which it is. A lot of times the road isn't prepped the same way as you would for a regular highway. But given the amount of roads that we have around here that I drive every day that are built that way, there's certainly no shortage of them. They seem to be, you get potholes, you get craters, you get different things that occur without laying down the appropriate textiles or whatever. But it certainly helps with dust abatement, definitely. And that reoccurring cost of annual maintenance goes away. So it certainly seems like a viable alternative. I'm just raising it as another mitigation potential, at least during the construction, and maybe long-term like this. Maybe it's another opportunity if you're looking for more. I think I would definitely like to see a permanent solution to dust abatement versus this cyclical, whether we're putting whatever, mag chlorides, just, that's common. That's really common to use. Just oiling the road with Enviro oil is certainly another option, but that's all costly. If we have a willing partner that's willing to chip in some money and match our effort, and we have more of a permanent solution, I think it behooves us to at least explore that option.
My neighbor did that with Lake County, and he bought the materials for 1 mile of cold paving on Foothills Road at $45,000, and Lake County put it down. So and they like doing that. I don't know if they'd work on the Jocko roads that aren't part of the Lake County network. That's a different question, but perhaps they would. But much of what you're talking about is not on the Lake County road network. So, yeah.
They were interested in anything that's within Lake County boundaries that the public has access to.
It is, but yeah.
James.
Yeah, my neighbor had it done, I think in June, July. For a little less than quarter mile, was like a couple $1,000, $2,500, $3,000 for just a relatively short distance. So, and they ordered it in February, but by the time I got to them, it was probably June. They were trying to schedule with Lake County as well when they aren't going to be plowing the, road grading the road, but it was at least 2,000 to 3,000 for just maybe a little under quarter mile.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Just a quick question. So how many tribal water tenders do we have under contract with this project now?
On the North Fork project, I don't believe that they are using any water trucks up there. Dick Anderson has a water truck that they are using to control the dust on that cut across road between Jocko Canyon Road and the Jammer Road occasionally when they know there's going to be their truck traffic back and forth on it. But
Okay.
other than that, they're not watering.
Okay, Mark, just because I don't know, what is the daily cost of contracting with the water tender? Just-
That's just
500 a day. Okay, thank you.
Well, the request coming in today was about the bridges. I'm wondering if we need formal action or just a consensus that we all agree that the bridges are in need. Is there any objection to moving forward with mitigating bridges? Then the other thing I asked of Casey was to give us just a general update on the whole Jocko area that you were asking about yesterday, Len. So if we could have just an update on what's happened, what's done, what's finished, what's going on, so forth.
So up at the North Fork, we have that going on. Both Dick Anderson and Conan Johnson will be finishing up construction season for this year in the next 30 days probably and getting out of there. This year was basically call it pre-construction construction, getting the soldier pile wall in place along the hillside and putting in a sheet pile cofferdam to keep the area where they will be working for the next 3 years in the dry. So they'll be getting out of there here shortly. They got to finish up reshaping the feeder canal before diversion season next year. Down at the pipeline project, phases 1 through 4, phases 1 and 2 are being constructed by Prospect Construction. There's a lot of pipe being fused together and laid out on the ground right now. And they are forming up and getting ready for concrete on the intakes on the K Canal. There's 2 intakes up there that'll feed the pipeline. Things are actually going quite well. Been getting along with all the landowners in the area. Knife River's doing phases 3 and 4. They have fused, bedded, and buried quite a bit of the pipe so far. I'd say they're about 2 weeks ahead of Prospect on construction, but then again, they started 2 weeks earlier, so can be expected. Throughout fall/winter here, they'll be installing the on-farm turnouts to all the different parcels, water meters, everything to wrap that up by April 8th of next year. Upcoming would be the Upper S fish screen, possibly next year construction. We'll see. The Lower S pipeline connection. So we're trying to get rid of the diversion at Lower S and reclaim that lower section of the canal and just feed those acres off of the pipeline. The connection will be in place by the vitamin factory or whatever that place is. So that'll probably be when phases 4 and 5 are constructed. They'll tie in and have to jack and bore under the highway and railroad tracks to get that pipe over there. So that's probably 2 years out on that one. What else? Jocko K headworks to the intake. That is a concrete liner that is completely garbage. So that is in the design phase to be replaced with a pipe system. So we'll run pipe probably from the headworks all the way to the intake. Design through this year, possible construction in 27.
The intake is at the fish screen.
The intakes for the pipeline are off of the K Canal itself, the fish screen and the fish ladder are back at the headworks, which we constructed 2 years ago.
Like the first 3 miles of K Canal, where you're on the county road going up the canyon and you cross it, first 2 or so miles, that section of canal. Yeah.
Any other projects anybody can think of in that area?
The lower J Canal and then Placid. Go ahead.
Lower J will go out to bid December, January this year for construction next fall on that one. And Placid, we're still preliminary design on that one, so that's probably 3 years out to 4 by the time they get through design, permitting and everything. And that would pretty much, I want to say, wrap up most of the Jocko area projects that are immediately on our radar.
Is there anything to look at? I mean, would it be wise to take a field trip or not yet?
We have the Jocko K Canal is complete, and the North Fork is quite an active site. It's like the ingredients are on the table, but they haven't been put together in a mix yet. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and I guess all the pipeline, you can see lots of pipe laying on the ground. I mean, that's a large project in itself. If you kind of know what you're looking at, even as you drive down the highway and you look up onto the foothills and whatnot, you can see, half a mile of 48-inch pipe laying on the ground.
No, it sounds simple, but I think until you get on the ground and you actually look at it, you kind of get an understanding of, wow, this is why we need engineers, money, and everything else in time.
That's a good observation that, all these projects sound real easy. You whip out the paper and you look at it and, oh, all right. And then you actually get on the site and that North Fork site is overwhelming, to see what they have done and what they will do. That is a huge project.
The other projects we have going are the restoration projects, and Tabby's not here, but we just last week, phase 1 of the Jocko River Bison Range Reach was completed, and we turned water. It's completed. We turned water into that channel and did a multi-day fish rescue with the fisheries program. So now the phase 1 is active. All the water is moving in there, and now the revegetation effort will go on, and they're starting phase 2 of the project, which goes down to Birches and the junction with the railroad down there. So that's a very active project, and the turning of the water from the old channel into the new channel was staged over time, had a very small turbidity plume, and they had a very successful rescue of not only just fish, but crawdads and amphibians and things like that. There was one bull trout in there. They're not expected to be in there this time of year, but there was one in there. And then starting in just a couple days, actually, on the highway, you'll see the Jocko Spring Creek project start up, which is right at kind of at the bottom third of Shaw Flats there. There's been a yellow grader there parked for quite a while. That's with Freshwater Partners. They're finishing up a project, and they're going to move to that one. That's a wetland restoration project. And then, just so you're aware, we took a great field trip up in Agency and there last week. It's sort of a restoration project, but if you go from the Upper S Canal headworks to Big Knife Creek along the high canal there are 2 streams that are small but very beautiful, Cold and Gold Creeks. And they die in the canal, which is a small stream problem that we have. And so they have in-stream flows. But the in-stream flows can't be triggered until we reconnect the stream below the canal. So Brian Hoganson's program is taking that on to understand how to reconnect the streams. They come down by the Llama Ranch and through there if you're up in the valley up in there. So we can also get the in-stream flows, but actually reconnect two very nice small streams, Cold and Gold Creek. So it could be called a restoration effort. It certainly is. So, and that's just kind of ramping up right now. Yeah. So.
I had something Casey wanted to say, and then Martin. Go ahead, Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just for council's information, so we do have a council agenda request submitted to come in for a greater duration of time and provide tribal council with a full update as to our projects. Our staff have prepared some slides. I had unfortunate timing in that I requested it for this Thursday, so it'll be deferred a bit, but please know that that is on the radar and will be coming to you very soon as we can work with Jen on rescheduling that. And then to Councilwoman Langford's point, we're always happy to provide field trips to tribal council. We really appreciate the opportunity to get out and have the opportunity to share information about our projects as well as answer questions in the field. So if that's an interest that tribal council has, please just let us know and we're happy to set that up. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Martin.
Did you say that's in between Agency and Big Knife? Those two creeks?
That's Blodgett Creek and Stevens Creek. Between Big Knife and Upper S Canal, so up to the east in the canyon, there's one of, I always mix them up, but Cold Creek is a nice little cedar bottom stream, and then Gold Creek is the one that braids. But they were both flowing quite well last week, and just as you know, we're seeing a lot of water bodies dry up this year that we never saw dry up before, just because of the drought. But those two had quite a bit of water in them, and and so they're worth the fight. Yeah, and we're starting up on those two. Yeah, we'll have to put culverts under the main Jocko Road, for example. So they're not totally straightforward, right? And we're reconnecting old streams. Yeah.
Any other questions for the team here? Appreciate you guys coming in and giving all that information. I really do. And we'll look forward to the other agenda item. That'll be cool. And we like the bridge project.
Thank you. We'll proceed as directed.
Good job.
Dan, did you need executive?
Go out of regular into executive. We have a contract from Mayland for, is it James Roosh?
Yeah, James Travis Roush, I believe. This is how he pronounces it. So yeah.
I'd welcome a motion to move this contract forward. Motion by Martin, second by Bing. All in favor? Glenn? No. I got Jimmy. One. Tom, you're for?
Wasn't paying attention anymore.
I got 2, 3, 4. Carol? It's the contract for the lawyer. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. Opposed? Lynn, Jimmy's opposed, 2, and Tom is abstaining. And Jennifer is out of the room.
Mr. Chairman, and just for the record, I just didn't agree with the salary increase to a position that wasn't advertised.
Understood. So motion carries.
Next, Mr. Chairman, council members, would be the education advocate MOU between the tribes and local school districts.
Okay, cool. Motion by Martin to approve the MOU with schools. Second by Tom. All in favor? We're unanimous. Anything else for Dan?
Yeah, we have the three Indian Health Service MOAs, Mr.
That's
Chairman,
right.
Council.
Indian Service MOAs. Motion by James, second by Tom. All in favor? We're unanimous.
Okay.
For all three of them.
Right. Well, thank you.
Thank you,
For
Dan.
your time.
We are recessed for what? 1? Recess till 1.
Frank was working at Second Circle for a period of time. And what happened was his emergency hire paperwork process did not get processed in a timely manner, so he was unable to get paid last week, which kind of put him in a bind. So I suggested that we could at least for the time being get him a food voucher. And so the staff reached out to him and asked him to do the, yeah, we can be an executive, yeah. Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay, I'll hold off on that. Sorry about that.
So we're pardon me. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. And looking for Christina Gonzalez.
Yes, good afternoon.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Would it be possible for me to share my screen with you all?
Yeah,
Okay,
it should be
fantastic.
available.
All right, let me see if I can figure it out. I can be a little technically challenged sometimes, so bear with me, but I have a young person in the room with me, so.
Green arrow.
He's telling me it's the big green arrow, Christina. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I am gonna minimize that real quick. Okay, can you all see my screen okay?
We can see your screen.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Christina Mercado Gonzalez. I'm with the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We want to thank you all this afternoon for allowing us some time on your agenda. I know you're very busy. I just wanted to ask up front, I wasn't sure if we had 15 minutes or 30 minutes, so I just wanted to be respectful of your time. Do we have 15 minutes?
You're scheduled for 30.
Okay, perfect. I get twice as much time. Well, thank you so much. Well, Chairman and Tribal Council, thank you so much again for allowing us some time on your agenda this afternoon. We are the stewards of your State Small Business Credit Initiative Tribal Technical Assistance Program. That's always a mouthful. So really, our goal this afternoon is really just to introduce ourselves to you all and ask you for some guidance. You know, we want to thank you all again, Council, and especially Jennifer Tron. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. I apologize if I do. She's been just wonderful helping us get on your agenda and coordinating all of our materials. Also want to thank Velda Shelby. We've gotten the opportunity to speak and exchange some emails. So Velda, thank you for all of your help getting us here today as well. So thank you all. The purpose of us requesting time with you all this afternoon, again, is just to thank you, introduce ourselves as your technical assistance and support team. and kind of refresh your memories, because I think this has all been about 3 years in the process. I'm coming into the process a little bit later, but we just wanted to revisit the technical assistance program with you again, remind you of the services that we would like to extend to all of your community members and entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs, and then talk about next steps and ask your advice and guidance about how we best reach out to your community members to tell them about this fantastic program and start engaging with them. So, and we want to leave enough time for questions, so we'll be sensitive to that too. So again, my name's Cristina Mercado Gonzalez. I have the pleasure of serving as the executive director of our American Indian, Alaska Native Hawaiian project here at the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, affectionately called NBEDC, right? And I also serve as our executive director of our Arizona Minority Business Development Agency Center as well. So with us this afternoon, I believe I saw her on screen, is our president and CEO. I'll turn it over to her in just a second. And of course, our executive director of our capital readiness program, Karen Lynn Graves, both of who have been along this journey, I think, with you all for, again, almost three years, but we're leading your technical assistance team. So with that, Monica, I would love to turn it over to you to say a few words and tell everybody about our Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you so much, Christina. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Council. My name is Monica Villalobos, and I serve as President and CEO of your Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We do have a national footprint, which is why we say your Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We were founded in 1948, and we serve as an advocate for all emerging and established businesses. I have been with the Chamber since 2012, in this role since 2019. We serve as a nonprofit 501c6 association, a 501c3 foundation, and a 501c4 political action committee. Our primary purpose is to help businesses grow and scale. We have numerous federal programs that we have stewarded along with this allocation that has gone to your tribe. And again, incredibly grateful for your confidence in being able to provide the technical support required for any businesses. And you'll see in just a little bit all of the breadth of services that we provide, but ultimately also making sure that we're generating and using our other federal dollars to augment the allocation that has been provided. So between those two things, we think we have a very nice product and suite of services for all of your businesses. Thank you so much. I'll pass it over to Karen.
Thank you, Monica. So I'll just tell you a little bit about our AIA-NNH project, NBEDC. So we sit underneath the Arizona Hispanic Chamber umbrella on our foundation side. So our American Indian, Alaska Native Hawaiian project, again, was established in 2019 through grant funding from the Minority Business Development Agency. As Monica said, we serve all communities across our chamber, but under this specific project, we serve, again, minority American Indian, Alaska Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities. And the geographic areas served, people often ask, why is the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce doing this work? Well, our footprint is much larger, as you'll find out as we continue, but under our NBEDC project, we serve Arizona, Utah, Nevada, the Navajo Nation, and now Alaska, Montana, New York, and Southern California through the SSBCI project. So, and in 2025, I think, as you all know, we were selected to administer this 2-year Small Business State Credit Initiative program to you all and 4 other tribes through the TA program. And so we are very grateful to do so. But that's our NBEDC work that we do. But I'm going to now turn it over to Karen Lynn Graves, who helped us really steward this project along to kind of give you a little historical look back at where we started with this.
Good afternoon, everyone. And also I offer my thanks for allowing us to come on and present to you to talk a little bit more about what we're here for. And that is, like Christina said, our SSBCI program. So if I can take us all the way back a couple of years ago, this has been a program and a process in the making Although the funds have always been allocated, as you all know, and you've seen how much time it's taken for us to get to where we are at this point right now. So our chamber, we were able to engage with other colleagues and go after this particular allocation to talk about the work specifically that we're going to do. So when we look at TA or technical assistance, everything that if you look at the program, it talks about access to capital, contracts, bonding, procurement, teaming, going global. You know, no matter where an organization, a business owner is in their business, there's a home for them within this program. And that holds true with your tribal community. For the SSBCI program, there was a lot of back-end work that had to be done. There was a lot of responses to information that had to take place for us to even understand what is the need, what's the actual need under this program. So with our chamber, with our Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, what we do is we actually help to find very specific opportunities, whether it's for the members of the tribe or for your tribe itself, to talk about very unique processes. So I think right now we've been very successful working with other communities and very honored to work with you all today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate that. So, Karen just gave us a great kind of look back at the SSBCI program, and just to kind of share once again what the purpose and the goal of the program it is to basically empower tribal nations and businesses owned by tribal members to start or expand their businesses, right? Which include locating opportunities, which we can help with as well, assistance with accessing capital, job creation, and job retention. So we're excited to be providing this technical assistance and speaking to your business owners and maybe those that just have an idea about starting a business to get started on the path to business ownership. These are the tribal nations and communities that are being served. Of course, your community is being served. The Palma Band of Luiseno Mission Indians in California. We had the privilege of being in a few weeks ago to meet and have a community meeting with the Shinnecock Indian Nation. And we've also had the opportunity to be in Alaska to spend some time with the Clawak Co-op Association as well. So again, we're humbled and excited to be serving you and all of these other communities through this program. This is just a quick recap of the technical assistance services that we will be offering. And I'd like to say much, much more, right? And I think one of the chief things that we do differently is that we'll meet one-on-one with your small businesses and entrepreneurs, or if you have a business that the tribe owns or an idea for a tribal business, we're happy to meet with them as well, one-on-one. But we try to meet and understand where everybody is in their entrepreneurial journey, whether they're just getting started or if they're a mature business, and try to identify where they need support and how we can help them grow, right? In a few minutes, you'll meet some of our team members, but we'll be assisting with business insurance and education services, credit education and development. I think we've learned in our work that our personal credit, especially if you're just getting started with your business, is so critical to growing your business and securing capital if you need it to grow. So our personal financial state is important as well. We have someone on the team that you'll meet that's going to help with our website and social media education, business legitimization, legal education services. There are also a whole host of certifications out there that we can be of assistance with for businesses that qualify or interested in getting certified as well. Again, if someone's just interested in starting and growing their business, we want to help them do that. We do a fantastic job of helping folks access capital. I'm going to turn it back over to Karen. She'll share a lot more with you about that. Marketing is my fastball. I spent most of my career in marketing and advertising to multicultural communities over 20 plus years. So we're excited to help businesses understand how they can market what they do. Export assistance. If we have businesses that are interested in exporting their products or services overseas or maybe just to another state, we can help them with that as well. Manufacturing resources, if they have a product they want to manufacture, locating bid opportunities. If you're a contractor or subcontractor in the construction trades, we offer a great platform for free where contractors can locate opportunities across the country. And then the last one, which is one of my favorite, again, having been in marketing, is learning to make businesses Amazon ready. We have one of our team member that specializes in e-commerce. So if you have artisans or folks in your community that produce a physical product that would make sense to put on the Amazon or Etsy platform, we can help get their store built, provide them photography, provide them reporting during and after the fact too. So that's an exciting service that we also offer to our small businesses. So I know we've all been talking really fast, so I'm trying to get to the end because I want to give you guys time to answer any questions that you may have. But if you don't mind, I'd love to turn it over to a couple of our team members that are going to be delivering all of those great services that I just mentioned. So I'm going to start with the gentleman that's online with us. He's zooming in from the East Coast, Mr. Bud Skinner. He's going to be providing that one-on-one business development. Bud, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be on this meeting here today and having the opportunity to say hello to everyone. As they say, I'm listed here as one of their business development specialists. I bring a little over 40 years of construction background and just business operation background with I guess they call this a bootstrap mentality. I've been in the business so long that I've made a few mistakes and I've been able to overcome a few other obstacles. And so I bring some basic working knowledge to the entrepreneurs who are just starting a business or even professionals that have been in business for a while. Like I say, I've just had 40 years of experience and I like to bring that experience to people that are looking to advance their self as well. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Bud. So next I'm going to let Mr. Robert Branscombe introduce himself to you all.
Thank you, Christina. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Tribal Council members. My name is Robert Branscombe. I'm the owner and principal agent of Branscombe and Associates Insurance Agency. I'm here to provide education and information on insurance. So if you have some and have some questions and want to know how the insurance works, or if you're in need of insurance, I can help you obtain that. I am fully licensed insurance agent. I do personal and business, specializing in business. I have over 20 years of experience in the insurance industry. And if you ever need anything, feel free to give me a call and I can be here to assist you with those needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. Next, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. John and Ani Perry. They're going to assist us with credit education, as I just mentioned.
Thank you, everyone, for having us here today. We are definitely honored to be here. My name is John Perry, Ani Perry, and we are the credit education side of the team. And we are here all things credit. We are here to help you obtain credit, fix credit, find out what credit can do for you as far as funding and getting capital. Not only that, we're here to educate and help you develop your credit and understand more about what credit's about. We're also launching a YouTube channel as well to provide services for people that have new products that they'd like to share with the community. So we can also present that as well for you as far as e-service incorporated. Ani, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I'd like to add in terms of credit education development, we understand that the variety that we see in businesses, people have different industries that they're looking for to gain capital, maybe just repair credit, get a deeper understanding. And we're excited to go ahead and provide that to you people.
And we thank you so much for being on the team.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, John and Ani. And last but not least, certainly I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Andrew Jackson on our team from Pro Exquisite Marketing.
Thanks, Christina. And thank you for your time. My name is Andrew Jackson, founder and CEO of Pro Exquisite Marketing. Here to support and help with all things marketing, website, social media, email marketing. I've been in the digital marketing space for pushing 25 years now, so a lot of experience working with small businesses. I love just to help and understand the needs for our clients and who we're working with to try and see if we can elevate their marketing game and help them be successful. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, that's our team of service providers, right, and experts in delivering technical assistance that we hope to hit the ground running with and start meeting with your businesses one-on-one. Our CEO, Monica Villalobos, mentioned up front that we have some other programs that really allow us to augment what we'll be doing for you and what we do for other businesses. So I'd like to turn it back over to Karen Lynn Graves to share what some of those services are.
Thank you, everyone, again. So Christina mentioned the value-added services, and when we look at the proposal, when we talked about how are we going to support the tribal nation altogether, we talked about access to capital. So when we look at the word capital, or what we're called capital readiness program, that's one of the major services that we offer, is making sure that business owners, the entire nation is ready to receive capital. If we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So this is everything that we do under our program. So again, the one-on-one business development, the training, marketing, branding, just summarizing everything that Christina also mentioned. The other piece to that is really expanding on the global markets piece. So we also have our pathways to the Gold Key program to make sure that when we're exporting or assisting those who are looking to export, whether it's jewelry, whether it's services, that they are protected and that they're backed. Robert Branscombe mentioned earlier that he handles all things relative to insurance, so we work through him, and we also work through federal government services as well. Two, we work with making sure, go back one more time, I'm sorry. We also assist with making sure people are ready for pitch competitions and investor opportunities if that need ever arises, and also loans, lines of credit, and what have you. Monica mentioned earlier, we do serve the entire nation, so we have different resource partners throughout the nation. Next slide, please. We also assist with certifications. For those of you who are online, who are in the military, first I want to offer our thanks. Or if you have family members who are in the military, I also want to offer our thanks. And with that being said, we assist with certifications, including the service disabled veteran-owned small businesses, women-owned small businesses, small business enterprise, disadvantaged business enterprise, hub zones, and a couple of other things. But with that being said, even for the tribal nation yourself, there are very unique contract opportunities and government vehicles to assist the tribe. And then also we assist with the Buy Indian Act opportunities as well. Next slide, please. I do have Rita Skinner, who is online with us today. She is one of our business development managers. So she assists with also making sure businesses know how to start, grow, and legitimize their business. And Rita, if you wanted to take a second to just say hello and introduce yourself as well.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Rita Skinner. I am the Business Development Manager. I'm here to do any one-on-one services. We also work with you on your capital, on your certifications, and anything that we can assist you with. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Rita. Next slide, please. And we also have a strong host of recorded trainings. I think right now we are close to over 100 in our library right now of business development and technical assistance services. And we actually pull things up and down as things are outdated. We refresh them constantly. So we have training calendars, we have recorded sessions, but again, the one-on-one is our biggest focus and opportunities, and also our mentorship program. Next slide, please. Our dream builder, I'll keep it. Christina told me keep this short, so I promise Christina to keep it super short. We have a very unique opportunity, and it's our dream builder program. Just to kind of give you the 60-second, 30-second, 45-second overview of this program. This dream builder program actually started with Freeport-McMoRan, which is one of the 5th leading mining companies in the United States, based here in Phoenix, Arizona. Freeport-McMoRan does a lot of upskilling and training of mining services throughout the continent of Africa. As the men are being skilled and upskilled, if you will, the women, the families of the women, if you will, they have to help with the household some way, some form, somehow. And what they do is they purchase cookies or bandages, and they sell things off piece by piece. And what the women did was they went back to the Thunderbird School of Global Management, who's actually the administrator of the program, and they said, can you teach us how to start and grow a business? Freeport and Thunderbird said, well, we're in the business of mining services. We're really not in the business of doing business development services, but they actually formed the Dream Builder program. But they also formed the Dream Catcher program as well. It's a very special, unique opportunity for Native American women and other entrepreneurs. So we are one of the administrators of this program. We offer very unique services, and at the very end of the program, the participants receive a laptop, 1-year membership to our chamber, technical assistance, seed funding, and a whole gamut of different services. And I think I just summarized that slide right there.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Karen. And you did keep it short. I appreciate that. Karen has a wonderful story about how that started, but I know we want to be respectful again of your time. So what's next? So really quickly, again, we wanted to meet you all, introduce ourselves, have you put some faces with names, and ask your advice about how we best start to reach out to your community. But what you can expect next from us, and I just gave you a quick example of how we operated with the Clawwalk Co-op in Alaska. What we would love to do next is come out to visit your community and get your advice as to when a good time to do that was. What we did with Alaska is we identified a time, we developed some promotional materials. With the community's assistance, they helped us reach out to their small business community. We rented a community center room and invited their small businesses in. And we performed, as you can see in the photos there, one-on-one business consultation with about about closer to a dozen small businesses. And what our team does after we conduct those one-on-one meetings is they meet with them and they help them form their businesses. Again, I mentioned the BidNet database. Identify opportunities, delivers it right to their inboxes. We'll help them establish websites and emails if they haven't done that already. As Karen just mentioned, if they're a veteran, if they're a woman-owned business, we'll help them get their certifications, which will help them identify opportunities. Again, if they're artisans or produce a product, we'll hook them up with our gentleman that can help them with e-services. The Clawwalk Co-op Association in Alaska had a library that they wanted to remodel, right? It's kind of in disrepair. They'd like their community to use it again. So what we did for them was to help find them some funding sources, some grant opportunities to potentially help them restore that building. So, and in their case, they were interested in the technical assistance for both their small business owners and getting some enterprise started that the tribe owned as well to take advantage of the cruise traffic that's now coming in through their community. So that's kind of an example of how we operated with them and how we'd like to move forward with you. But again, this is the last slide I'll have for you, but we would love to learn from you all how to best promote the SSBCI program to your community of small businesses. Would love to schedule an in-person meeting and come out to community to visit you all, conduct one-on-one sessions with those businesses. And then we'd also like to put together a monthly calendar of webinars that small businesses can access on demand and live to learn more about all the different areas that we just talked about. And then we'd like to provide ongoing support and continually promote the technical assistance program. So we've all been doing the talking. I appreciate your advice and patience in listening to us. I would love to open it up for some questions now, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Well, thank you, Christina. That's quite a presentation. You have quite a number of brand services. Do we have questions? Jennifer, go ahead.
Yeah, I think just some comments. All of this sounds really wonderful and really helpful. And we have a tribal newspaper that I would say the majority of our tribal members access either in print or online. And it seems that your schedule would be really good, something really good for us to print regularly in our newspaper and to promote that for our tribal members who want to start a business or need help with their existing business. So I think it sounds wonderful. The more resources we can connect people to, the better. And I just personally know several people who have ideas for small businesses, but aren't sure how to get started and what resources are out there. It's just really daunting to have an idea for a business and then know all the pieces, how to pull it all together and move it forward. So all the things that you're describing sound really wonderful. And I would think we as a tribe too, I think maybe we would want some time to talk amongst ourselves. We have so many projects. We also have lots of ideas. And, how do we move that forward? And, there's certainly a number of projects that we would love to have help raising money for. So thank you for your presentation. It sounds like you guys do amazing work.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. We would love to get a promotional piece put together specifically for your community and get it into your newspaper. I would love to follow up with you to find out what those specifications are. And we would love to start doing outreach immediately, right? Just because we'd love to come out and visit you guys live and in person, but we would love to start connecting with your businesses as soon as possible. So thank you for your comments. I often say, sometimes it's daunting for us, and this is what we do every day to understand the ecosystem of resources that are out there and available. So we understand that it's very daunting for small businesses, especially if you're just getting started. So thank you. Anybody else have any questions that we can answer for you?
Yeah, I see Velda has a hand up. Velda, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a lot right now, but I don't know if Greg Spar has explained that the tribes entered into a consortium a few years back. So this is the offshoot of the SSBCI Capital Fund that became available for this consortium. We had been working with Tata Anton, Danae, I believe she was legal counsel for this consortium, and she had set up an application process with the Browns Venture Group. We came to realize that the funding that was set aside through the Federal Reserve Program wanted some wins, and that we would only be eligible for the next tranche if we had some wins. At that time, Greg and I met with them, and they were hoping that the tribes would look at high-tech or energy proposals and apply for their the venture capital through the SSBCI. Instead, they had joined forces with this group, the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Christina and Karen and Monica. So what they're offering us is technical assistance upfront and to also look at funding to finance our entrepreneurs, our tribal ventures. So all of this is culminating, and it's simply because we want to move forward with some of this federal funding that may not be available in the future. So what I would like to recommend is what you've already suggested, is that we go back to the table, perhaps engage with our SKBS, Salish Kootenai Business Services, so that we can look at an outreach program and schedule these opportunities. And also, what would the application process look like if we're not linking up with the consortium and the Brown Venture Capital? So a lot of this we still need to flesh out, and thank you for listening to us. And I hope we brought you up to speed on what's available, what the possibilities are, and hopefully we can take advantage of some of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Velda. Thank you, Velda. Yeah, we would love to circle back with you and have a follow-up conversation after you all have an opportunity to get together. And please know if you have any questions for us about anything and about what we do, or anything else related to the technical assistance program and budget, we are completely transparent. And I know, Monica, I'll let you jump in, but we're happy to share anything, Velda and counsel with you all. So please let us know if you have any questions coming out of this.
Yeah, there are many funding sources available. The one with Missatone and Brown Group, absolutely. My understanding with that one is that you only need to have a small technical piece within a business. And so the business can be anything. When we were in Claw Walk, someone had suggested a certain, type of business around construction and FEMA grants. And as long as it had a technology component to it, it could be a website, it could be an app, whatever it was, that would qualify for those funds through Missatone and through Brown Group, is my understanding. However, as I said, these services, what we find is best is we use a consultancy model. We will come in, we come to you. That is all covered by the allocation and by the additional funds that we have contributed to the effort. We come to you, we sit down, and as Karen likes to say, pencil to paper, we write down exactly what it is that you need, and we start making those connections immediately. So again, without, I don't want to invite ourselves, but we are happy to come out at your convenience. We come with a group, we take assessments, we make sure that everything that needs to be connected is being connected, whether it's with a contract, whether it's with financing, or whether it's to help create jobs. And those are the measurements that we use. So again, we are at your disposal, at your convenience, and anything that you need from us, we are completely transparent with making that available to you.
Thank you, Monica. So I know we're at our 30 minutes already, so I want to thank you all again for your time and attention. Velda would love to follow up with you, and I've not had the opportunity to meet Mr. Greg Spar personally, but we would love to, and we'll just look to you all to let us know what next steps are. But as Monica said, we won't invite ourselves, but we would love to come out, and I would love to get with Jennifer and at least get a promotional piece in your newspaper communication to your tribal community.
I have two more questions, Carol and then James. Go ahead, Carol.
Okay. Yeah, recently I started a small business last year actually, and I did pretty well this year, but I see the biggest problems that I came on is one is every time you look for a small business loan, operating loan, insurance, you get you get inundated with all these calls and texts, and it's just ridiculous. And I thought everybody I reached out to seemed like it was a scam. I wasn't sure whether to trust it. So I think that's one area. I got into one situation where I entered into and I paid them, which now I realized it was a mistake because you can do everything online. You just have to learn how to maneuver the government system and SAM and all of those areas. But it was definitely interesting. And then the other question or concern I had was being a small business woman, you have to apply. And somebody said, oh, it's too much for you. Don't bother with it. Also the hub zone. I know the tribe's in a hub zone. And so I didn't really know or haven't had time to really look into that arena. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting project. I really appreciate Mr. Bible. He helped me out tremendously and kept encouraging me. And so I was able to break even this year. And so I feel really excited.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
really, honestly, those are the stories we want to hear. It is unfortunate that there is a lot of predatory lending in this space, unfortunately. I can tell you that with our group, no one is ever going to ask you for money up front. No one is ever going to ask you to do anything but invest in your own business, right? These are resources that are part of your allocation, that are part of the additional funding that we've brought to the table as well. But you are not alone. This happens all the time, and frankly, it's the reason that we exist. It is to make sure that small businesses are not taken advantage of and that they do have the resources that they need. So if there's anything we can do directly with your business, it sounds like you had to navigate some of that on your own. And I know it's a school of hard knocks. Unfortunately, we have heard so many stories, and we always just, we hope and pray that people wait until we get there so that we can, find those resources. Because if we don't have them directly, we will find them for you.
Yeah, and I know the certification process can be daunting, and I think what our team, and Karen has her hands up, so I know she probably wants to jump in on this, but our team really, I think, does a good job too of kind of holding people's hand through the process, because it can be overwhelming. They require a lot of documentation and information, but it is worth it if you get the right certification. So Karen, I don't know if you want to jump in and talk about, make any comment.
Yes, and I want to make sure I'm following protocol. So so thank you for allowing me again to speak. And also congratulations to you. I think I heard your name was Miss Carolyn. if I heard
Yeah,
correctly.
Carol Langford.
Congratulations, first off, on being a small business owner, because taking that first step is a huge deal. Everybody that you just heard who's online, including myself, Monica too, and Rita, but we're all actually business owners. We all have our little side hustles on the side. So we understand what a big deal it is. You mentioned something, and again, I know I don't want to prolong our time, but you mentioned like the hub zone certification, like all these different certifications is where the pencil to paper comes into place. And as you know, getting those different certifications, it puts you in a different purview with the different contracting officers. So that is something that we assist with. Monica mentioned to you before, you know, when people are asking for money up front, you know, there's a couple of things that are the flags. That's also another place where we come in, you know, making it very clear that we are federally funded. You know, not you see the different labels that Bud, Rita, and I have, but it's also part of NBEDC and also part of our chamber. But we are federally funded to assist with these different programs and services. So I'm looking forward to meeting with you and learning more about what you do. I also tell everybody as much as I can, especially for our tribal nations, consider exporting. Please consider exporting right now, especially right now. There's so many very unique resources that are available, and we would love to talk to you more about those. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. I think we had another question.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your presentation and for all your staff presentations as well. Just a couple things. We want to try to figure out how to work more closely with our Tunaha people that are in British Columbia. They're on the other side of the border. And so talking about export and import, we want to try to figure out how we can work with that relationship better and coordinate with them better. We'll be having a meeting with them in October, and that's one of the things I want to be able to stress is how do we work more closely amongst our tribal bands business-wise. But some of the things we've talked about as a council, maybe having a property management business of some sort. I know we're working on a travel plaza or gas station of sorts in the works. I have mentioned that, you know, we should be buying the car dealerships and such or whatever, you know, power product, you know, we buy a lot from those on the reservation and off the reservation. We should be, you know, recycling that money. So those are just a few things that were on my mind as we were presenting with you. And then I seen you went to Alaska in December. So December in Montana should be easy if you've done that. So, but
We have
thank
the
you all.
gear. We have the gear. Thank you, and good luck to your Seattle Mariners. I'm a baseball fan. We're sad that the Diamondbacks didn't make it. So there you go.
Yeah,
Good
we
luck to
did.
them. We'll root for them. Go ahead, Monica.
They told us we had to get to Alaska before, you know, the freezing season. And so we risked life and limb to get there. But it was really important. You know, just a very quick example, one of the challenges that Clawwalk had is they're quite remote. The cruise lines had just sort of discovered them. They had last year 6 cruise ships stop at their port. This year they're expecting 22, and it was really a unique opportunity to almost create an economy, right? They're the first cannery in Alaska. They had a beautiful structure of a building that could be created into a sort of Navy pier, if you've been to Chicago, that area. And that was for, you know, the entire tribe. So we're working with them to create those opportunities so that the cruise ships are not the ones taking advantage and doing those tours and paying, you know, charging a lot of money to their passengers. That should be funding that's going to the tribe for those experiences on their land. The other unique opportunity that we had there was it is the salmon capital of the world. And the brokers that were brokering between the actual fishermen that were there with the tribe, they were selling, and my numbers may not be completely off, but proportionally, it was $10 a pound for salmon from the fishermen. The brokers would turn around and sell it for $60 a pound, making this huge profit and leaving the fishermen barely to make ends meet. These are the kinds of this is the depth that we get into with businesses and the issues and how we can solve those things. So again, I'm looking forward to seeing you all in Montana.
Any other questions? Jennifer?
Yeah, just another comment. I also just want to say that I really love that you're doing credit recovery with people. It seems that having a good credit score is becoming increasingly important for all kinds of things. And a lot of people, maybe they make mistakes or they get into a hole and they don't know how to get out of it, or maybe they don't even know what a good credit score is, or when they try to borrow money, they find out. But I love that you're doing that because it gives people hope. It gives people a way out and a way to move forward with their dreams. So I think that's really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Jennifer.
of course.
Thank you, Jennifer.
And if I may, Jennifer, I wanted to add on what you just described was more than half of our classes that just took place with e-services. They did everything from the very beginning to, what's going on with your credit, what to look for, recovery, repair services, the do's and don'ts. I've been a business owner for 30 years, and there was one class in particular where I had to stop what I was doing. I didn't even know some of these things that I was doing was completely wrong with my own business, just hearing, how to do it appropriately. So what you described is a lot of our different classes that we have to offer. And thank you for saying that, because I think we are a place where we are giving people hope, but we're actually backing them and completely, constantly supporting their efforts. So thank you for your kind words.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Council. That's all we have for you this afternoon. We sincerely appreciate your time and thank you for allowing us to go over. We are here to serve you, as we've all shared with you. So please let us know how we can do that. And I look forward to circling back with you all to find out how we can move forward.
Well, thank you, Christina and Karen, Monica, and all your team. It was a good delivery, and I'm sure we'll be making contact.
Great. Thank you very much. And I saw we had a New York fan too, so good luck to them
Thank
too.
you, everyone.
All
Have
right.
a nice
Thank you all.
afternoon.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your meeting.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
James, was yours an executive? Executive? Can we go into executive?
Go out of regular into executive. No, we're staying in. The ask is to support the James is looking for dollars now.
Dollars, yes. And, I don't have the exact number from Cougar, but I would like to keep it at $30,000. I plan on keeping the preliminary drawings well below that.
Motion by Len to support the Tomo Travel Plaza, second by Jimmy. All in favor? Everybody? Martin, Big? Looks unanimous. Are you going to Sovereign Leasing for money?
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. And then that's all I have for today. I know the CD was brought up for mission. I will get with Greg to see the possibilities. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Thanks, James.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And awesome that you kept going on it. It's good. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your time today.
After Jordan, though. Yeah, after Jordan, and then it'll be MVP.
Again? Yeah, I think MVP has an action item. No, I've been told you're next after the next one. Sorry, Zach. Greg, we did have a request a little earlier if you could talk about what will happen if there's a shutdown tomorrow, maybe after everybody's done today. If you could, cool, we'll grab you. Yeah, please. Welcome. Good to see you.
There we go. Is that better? My name is Christina Lucero. I'm a SciComm band member from the Saanich Nation, which is located on Vancouver Island. I have lived in Montana since 1996 and actually prosecuted for you all back in 2009. So definitely see some familiar faces here. Thank you for having us today. I am currently the director of the American Indian Governance and Policy Institute, which is a research entity and think tank for tribal communities. We are certified under the Board of Regents, which means that we have access to all of the departments, institutions, professors, and students that are associated under the Montana University system. And we are able to, I bring those resources together to serve tribal communities through policy reports and different kinds of research. So in the folder that I just gave to you are a couple examples on the right-hand side of some previous reports that we've completed this year. And we would just hope to be able to be added to your toolbox as a tool in the future. So some current projects that we're working on, we do have that Chairman Dolson. It sounds like I had just spoken with Heather this morning, and she was like, "Oh, make sure to tell him that we're working on it," and we were trying to get caught up on stuff. It sounds like the Indian Law Clinic had tried to do some work on the taxation on fee land request, but there was some complications with that. And I also had received a request on an economic impact study. I have an economist that I'm working with right now who's going to training with the Center for Indian Country Development. And so waiting to hear when he gets back to kind of get started on some of these projects. But yeah, I am working on identifying a team to work with on both of those issues. And the current project that we're here for today is called Pathways to Sovereignty, which is going to leverage this legislative interim to build and strengthen partnerships and policymakers and advancing sovereignty-centered priorities to move forward in the next legislative session. We have partnered with the Indian Law Clinic over at the Alex Blewett the third law school, as well as the Indian Law section. I am the current chair of the Indian Law section for the Montana State Bar Association, to be able to bring together our resources to kind of help strategize what we can do moving forward. We appreciate CSKT's efforts and stellar involvement with lobbyists. It just underscores the importance that you all understand of participating and involving yourself in all of the legislative stuff. The team I'm building for this project includes your very own Senators Jacinda Morjo and Senator Shane Morjo, as well as Representative Fayant, who wasn't able to be here today because she was flying out somewhere. And then also Denise Juneau as our project lead.
So it's good to be back in front of all of you again. Last time I was here, I think was probably when I was running for Congress seeking your endorsement. And so thank you for all of your past support for my efforts and really appreciate all the work that you do on that front as well. As Christina said, you know, your engagement in the state legislature, your engagement at the federal level is you know, really impressive. And always we look to CSKT about what's going on. And now that you have 3 members yourselves in the state legislature able to push those red and green buttons, like that is pretty significant. And when I think about the state legislature and the 12 native members that are there and the kind of block that they could be, gets me excited about this type of project that Christina's doing through Egg Pie. And so I wanted to be engaged because I think with the 12 native legislators who are going to be engaged in this project, as well as, you know, we'll be visiting with tribes about priorities that they'd like to see and try to build an agenda of sorts going forward. So we're being proactive and not reactive once we enter into the halls of the state legislature. And then you have the 12 native legislators who can really help push agenda on behalf of tribes, as well as your own lobbyists and you know, the things, but what we're really trying to do is seek common ground and seeing what kind of policies that we can work with Indian law section to draft bills, to work with the Indian or the Indian Law Clinic and then the Indian law section to really put like a legal basis around it. Because we have people who want to volunteer on these types of projects and really find pathways to sovereignty for tribes in Montana and work with the state legislature to kind of get things done. And so it gets me excited because it's about power building. It's about good policy. It's about tribes stepping up and having space in the state legislature and what comes out afterwards. And, you know, I also believe, you know, we have a political context right now that is difficult at times. We were just visiting out in the lobby about how so many of the legislators who are coming and stepping in on that day one have no idea what tribal sovereignty even is or how tribes play in the Montana economy or what types of policies would be good for native Montanans and the places that they live. And so, you know, there's a lot of education that has to happen within the interim. And I also believe that if we can get this policy agenda created, it helps in that off season when they're not having to run 1,000 miles an hour to get them educated about these issues. And so it's a lot of work. You think of an interim period being 2 years long, but it's really not that long. But I think, you know, it's really possible that this can happen. And then, of course, with the powerhouse Native Caucus that we have at the state legislature, I really believe that anything is possible. And so it gets me excited about what's happening. Excited to work with all of you, work with tribes across the state, work with our Indian caucus, and then a lot of Native lawyers, which is kind of fun.
Right. And so by moving forward in this effort, what we're hoping to do is engage our tribal communities. We've reached out to the Montana American Indian Caucus for their engagement, but want to specifically reach out to each of the tribes to make sure that each of your voices are represented. It's important to us to make sure that as we think big picture, what are those things that we can do to help educate our communities, to encourage our, not just our Montana American Indian Caucus, but also our non-Indian legislators on how we can advance these priorities forward. So by identifying partners beyond the Indian Law Clinic and the Indian Law section to help us, you know, educate and plant those seeds out in the communities and try to avoid some of those misunderstandings that we see so often happen so we can have real conversations when we get to the actual session to get down to the bare bones of what needs to happen. And then also prepare our legislators with tools that they can use to advocate while they're in the session. So our ask of you guys today is one for your participation and support so we can play a little offense and future defense of this project. I guess I'll start with Senator Shane Marjo. He said he was in the waiting room for a while, but I don't know if he was logging off. But yeah, Senator Morjo, if you're able to, I'll ask each of you what you your priorities are, but wanted to maybe start with Senator Morjo.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to text
I think I'm the only Senator Morjo on right now.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Can't see you. Can you hear me though?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Denise. Hello, council. Hi, everyone. So I guess one of my main priorities to really just focus us, last session we had SB 379, which was enhancing tribal consultation. That died in process. That came from Senator Susan Weber, from Browning. And I would really like to see that. So right now on our Montana law books, we kind of have like a one-page law about consultation. This bill and this movement would be to more fully flesh that out so that all of the state agencies know what we mean by tribal consultation and they can have a better understanding of that government to government and our rights as sovereign peoples. So that's going to be one of my top priorities. Um, because we see it playing out right now if you look at DPHHS and how the potential federal government shutdown is going to affect us. If we can really get to at least this one piece of like step zero education of how these state agencies are supposed to interact with our tribal governments and how we as legislators can help with that, I think that's going to be a really big step forward for us. Thank you. And I see Shane just popped on.
Shane, we did a quick little introduction of both AgPi as well as the project that Denise had emailed the caucus about. And I was just wanting to engage everyone's participation and starting with our senators who are from here. If you're able to talk to us about what your priorities are moving forward.
Yeah, sure. Well, I know everyone on this call, so Shane Morjo, Senate District 50. We got a lot of, in my opinion, we got a lot of great stuff done the last cycle. The tax reform was a big one. I still think there's going to be that's kind of still in the process, and people are going to see the impacts, the positive impacts of that especially for homeowners. But we didn't get enough done for rental support to protect renters, especially low income renters in Montana. We did all this, did all this work and put in all this effort for homeowners to get tax benefits, but the people who actually absorb a lot of those taxes are the renters. In my opinion, that was wrong. I brought legislation forward to try and at least identify the lowest income folks in Montana to provide a credit for them for renters, and that bill got killed. So I still think we have some work to be done in that area. Of course, we have all of our native supporting our native communities is really important to me and to our caucus and to the Indian caucus. We did a lot of great work on language programs, wildlife management, aquatic invasive species, ICWA, the missing murdered indigenous peoples, and all those efforts are things that we'll continue to work on and expand on. But I think we were very successful on that front last session, especially with legislative efforts by the Indian caucus. Education is a priority for me. Sitting on the budget, Indian Ed for All, I think is something that we're seeing a lot of change on. The caucus continues to push for Indian Ed for All. And school funding. We see some efforts to defund schools, and our caucus and the Indian caucus continue to try and ensure that those funds are not reduced. And we have some pretty good team members on the other side of the aisle at the legislature for that. Affordable childcare. We created a trust last session for childcare. Want to make sure that money is getting put to good use to actually support families with affordable childcare. That still is being worked on. So we want to keep our eyes on that. Of course, healthcare and Medicaid and what happens to that in the future is important. So we'll keep our eye on that and see how that's impacted and see what we need to do at the legislative level. A bill that I always bring, that I'll continue to bring every single session, is child sex abuse legislation to help eliminate the statute of limitations for civil claims against victims of child sex abuse. I carried the bill that eliminated the statute of limitations for crimes against child victims I carried the law that made it illegal for a school, someone that works at a school in any format, to have a relationship with a student. So we got some really good bills into place, but we haven't eliminated the statute of limitation for victims under civil statutes. So we need to fix that. I'm going to keep working on that, and that's one of the most important bills to me because it impacted my family and so many other people in our community. Of course, voter protection, as we see gerrymandering across the country, is something that we need to keep an eye on, and it's something that we'll do everything we can to defend against, especially in our Native communities. And then lastly, protecting our courts and our judges and our state bar, trying to make the court system partisan, trying to create new courts that work only on constitutional issues, things like that, that would just undermine a lot of the rights of Montanans that we will do everything we can to stop. So there's some things in there that, of course, I want to work on, but also a lot of things that continue to play defense on. There's other efforts under the court side, because I think there was like 35 anti-judiciary bills, anti-state bar bills. So we'll just keep flagging those. And I work on a interim committee that likely will try and put those together again. And so I'll have a front row seat to see what people are trying to do.
Not used to this button. Thanks, Senator Morges. And so basically, I would love any involvement from council to hear about what the priorities are for CSKT. I feel like I'm most familiar with Senator or Councilman Steele, if you wouldn't mind sharing, or if you're Chairman Dolson.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple thoughts that I've had. I contacted you about the economic stuff. I'm working with the new director at the Bureau of Business and Economic Research, and I can't think of his name, but we have a meeting coming up in October. But Patrick Barkey retired and moved on, and so now working with the new guy. But just a thought on that, and I think I expressed to my email, is just trying to understand our particular impact economically in Western Montana. You know, particularly in Lake County, we have our good friends, the county commissioners, that kind of are situationally our friends, depending on the situation. I'm being sarcastic, sorry. The other thing too is when I was the chairman of the Montana Wyoming Tribal Leaders Council, trying to figure out how do we study, Eleanor Yellow Robe was the kind of the last report on all that across the state, but learning the economic impact that the Native people have on like Billings, we know anecdotally it has to be a huge number. We think of all the different agencies that are there because of the tribes, BIA, IHS, etc. Plus the Crow Nation, Northern Cheyenne, the people that go to Billings for different things. And we could apply that to Great Falls, we could apply it to Missoula, Kalispell, all these areas in the state that have a fair amount of legislators that are absolutely clueless about Indian people, but they sure see the Indian people coming to their local businesses and buying gas or groceries or whatever. And, I think back to the 90s in high school when our tribe boycotted all the different non-tribal businesses on the reservation just to get the Speaker of the House his attention, John Mercer. And wow, things, Chairman Pablo at that time, and I think Carol was on council at that time as well too. It changed things. Once the tribe got tough with the money, our local community, the bankers, etc., they're like, wait a minute, those Indians actually have economic power. And I think when I was chair of the tribes and the Tribal Leaders Council, it really was helpful being on the Hill and in the legislature to have that tool to be able to say to those legislators as a tribal leader, hey, here's where our people are spending our money. They're spending them in billings, they're spending them in a lot of these difficult legislators that we deal with, or you all deal with in the legislature. If they could see that, wait a minute, you're gonna not vote with the Indians on certain things, but yet you're gonna take the money from our community. You're gonna accept our community members coming into the gas station or whatever, but when it comes to empowering our people, you're gonna vote against that. The other interesting thing I learned when I was chairman of the Tribal Leaders Council is I have really good close friends with Chairman Van, late Chairman Van, and he was always on a mission to figure out what CSKT was doing with our administration. Because when the council changes, the administration don't necessarily change. But at Crow, they threw everybody out and they got a whole new administration, and he said it just stifled their ability to do things. And so, and I think, you know, the different attempts and different things that the University of Montana has had relative to tribal leaders and policy and different things like that, it's like if there was some sort of, I know there was one time I was a part of a effort to try to get like a tribal leaders roundtable or something, and I can't remember who was spearheading that 20 years ago, but it was kind of hit and miss and that kind of thing. But one big one is figuring out, you know, how do we as a tribal government make our policies? What does CSKT do to make its policies? And then realizing other tribes, I don't really have quite a real clear mechanism for that, and helping them understand, you know, what's that process for your tribe? What does that need to be? So, you know, that was kind of a vision I had, is if we could have our own training session for tribal administrators across the state on how, you know, a policy development 101. Why do you have them? What are they for? Because I learned pretty quickly that some tribes were real adept at it and some tribes were not. And with all of our good, the bad, and ugly that we have here, generally we have a really good checks and balances on things. You know, we really have, I want to say the best out of all the tribes in the state, but I can say it. Chairman or Councilman Charlo said so, but it's been kind of that way for a lot of years. But how do we spread that knowledge to those other tribes? Because when I was Tribal Leaders Council chair, I was getting asked that from time to time. And I was kind of wondering, how do we institute that? So, but I think the big one I'm keep pushing on, and I didn't get it done when I was Tribal Leaders chair, nor when I was chair here, but getting an economic development or economic impact assessment done for our tribes. And I think SKC was working on one, the tribal college, but I don't know if they've completed that or not. Where I got that idea is I was researching that years ago, and Menominee College did one for their tribal college, the economic impact of their tribal college in that area. And, you know, the other thing that I'm kind of pushing on is having a better economic relationship with our Kootenai bands in Canada, and figuring out how do we collaborate now that we have this government that thinks Canada is now our enemy. And a few of us, I think Glenn and I were up in Canada recently. And I don't know, the Canadians are not happy with the president of the United States. That's pretty much, you could find that out in Canada. But I ramble on. I apologize, but those are kind of my thoughts and ideas that I've heard over the number of years being involved in different things. But thank you.
Colin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you both for coming in. What a wonderful opportunity. What a great idea, to be prepared for the next session. How do you collaborate? How do you bring things together? How do you get a strategy that's going to be effective? I am pleasantly surprised at how well we turned out the last session, given what we were facing. I thought that was there was a lot of wins there, and George talked about some of them, but definitely there was assault on us for our treaty rights and our hunting and fishing agreement here on the reservation. Those are always going to be there. Those are always going to be an issue for us. But I don't know how we maximize. I know that there was when James was talking about our relationships. There's two tribes with relationships with Canada that the J Treaty is involved with, and so how can we do that? How can the state legislature? Because state of Montana, that's our biggest trading partner is Canada. So how can we enhance that? How can we bypass that? How can we do that? Something creative there that would be, first of all, meaningful for at least the two tribes that are involved with that. But how would it represent the rest of the state and benefit everybody? So that's really an interesting thing. The consultation, coincidentally, Jordan was talking about consultation with us yesterday. That our legal department is developing a document to show or express what consultation means for us. I don't know if that's be used for other. Each tribe is different, but we have a different treaty than other tribes in Montana. So being a Stevens Treaty means different things for us. So that's how that can go forward. I don't know. One of the biggest impacts for us here, two things that the state should be dealing with, and hopefully they will, is the sheer amount of people moving here and the extractive nature of that and the effect of that on our resources, and how we don't get any real benefit from the state to protect those resources or manage those resources with that use. Let's just talk about Flathead Lake. It's really our lake. The supermajority of the lake is on our reservation. We have a protectable interest in the watershed upstream with the fisheries, our water rights, and our hydropower development use. But we have all these people coming in, using it, affecting it, potentially polluting it. We have a Department of Natural Resources issuing permits to allow people to infuse sewer water directly into the groundwater only a mile from Flathead Lake in a great big community that's being developed at Lakeside. And so we worry about those kind of things. How can we fix that at the legislature? How can we give more strength to that? How can the Department of Environmental Quality do a better job for us affecting our resources? Then all the people coming here, how can we benefit? How can they help us pay for managing the resources? Whether it's the headwaters or wilderness areas or the fisheries, the water quality, all these impacts. How can they help us? I would propose that we need to have a second home tax in Montana that provides actual resources for us to help manage the number of people moving here. Because there's these communities that are hit hard, whether it's Bozeman, Hamilton, Kalispell, Missoula, wherever it might be. They are coming and they're not going to stop coming. So really, really want to be able to figure out how can we do something good there to get that money out of those folks that can afford to pay and help pay for managing our resources and protect our interests. That's really important for me. The second one is this dang highway. We have a highway plan that's been designed for this highway for a long time, and we've yet to get it fully implemented. And in fact, this year there was money that was pulled back that was scheduled to be put on this highway to put in more wildlife crossings, provide for safety for our communities. That has since been pulled. So we need to figure out how Montana Department of Transportation can help fill that void. Let's finish this highway. Let's increase the safety and the efficiency of the highway. Let's get that visitor satisfaction up there so they're not traveling a highway that's nearly impossible. And I've been watching this all the time because the MDOT director for Western Montana, Bob, said, you know what he calls Highway 93? Interstate 90 North. So I started doing my own traffic count. I've been watching it all the time. It is incredible number of cars on this highway. And so the level of service and the visitor satisfaction, or those tourists, which is our number one trade here in Western Montana anymore, seem to be, are they going to be repeat visitors? How are we bisecting our communities? Just simple safety issues. So highway funding and how Montana Department of Highway deals with that in specifically our reservation. But that's important for me. The third one that I'll bring up is, it was frustrating this year because we're facing it all the time. We just had some nice rain. Man, was that really good? Trees are just crying out to me like I'm dying here. Our streams in Western Montana were drying up. And in our headwaters of the Clark Fork. And the state of Montana refuses to implement their water right call to keep the water in the streams, to keep the fisheries alive. We need to be able to strengthen that. We need to do something at the state capitol to make sure that they enforce the rights that they have, that they will do their job and make sure that we don't have creeks and rivers drying up in the future. Is it going to end up with us doing battle with everybody? Protect in-stream flows for the benefit of Montana, at least in Western Montana. It's going to be CSKT. Now, we shouldn't be standing there alone because we share those rights with state fish, wildlife, and parks in the state of Montana. It should be like this, and it's not. We need to fix that. We need to fix that the next legislature if we can. We need to muscle them up somehow to enforce their water rights that they have. The last one, of course, is one that most tribes in Montana share. We need to make sure that somebody sponsors a bill. Let's go ahead and go after them because they're coming after us. And this has to do with buffalo. We need to have a bill or someone sponsor a bill to say that free-ranging buffalo, wild buffalo, are indeed wildlife in Montana and treated as such. There's free-ranging buffalo. They need to have all the same rights as the elk does, as the white-tailed deer does, as the antelope does. And that would be critical because they're just assaulting the other way. They're pulling back, they're declaring war on American Prairie Reserve. They're making war on every tribe that has buffalo. It's not good. And it's stupid because the majority of Montanans want buffalo. It's a minority population that's grabbed a hold of the governor's office and certain legislative positions. So that's my list. Thank you.
Jennifer, go ahead.
Thank you for coming here and thank you for these beautiful cups. These are really nice. Thank you. And a couple things that come to mind for me is that I'm aware that there are some people here locally on the reservation who are planning to challenge our status as United States citizens. And I think they are, or they already are challenging our status as US citizens and the ability of Native Americans to hold office in Montana. And so I think it's really important to educate people about who we are and the fact that we do have status as tribal citizens of our nations and as US citizens. And also the trust responsibilities that the federal government has. I think most people don't have a fundamental understanding of why we don't completely divest ourselves from expecting anything from the United States government, because I don't think America is going to give us our land back. I mean, we're buying back our reservation every year. We buy back as much as we can, but people aren't just going to, okay, here you go, and we don't owe you anything anymore. So helping people understand trust responsibility. And I just wanted to mention this because I think it's so exciting and really cool. One of our tribal members, and I know you know Julie Kajun, she developed a tribal civics program, and I believe we're the first tribe in the United States to have a tribal civics program, and it's currently on our website. So it helps explain a lot of these things. So, that's just a potential resource for people to go if they don't understand tribal sovereignty. Some of it pertains specifically to our tribe, but some of it pertains to all tribes and an understanding of trust responsibilities and things like that. But I'm always amazed at how people don't have a fundamental understanding of what a trust responsibility is. And they forget where they are, that our people have walked over every piece of this continent. Every piece of it has been walked on by tribal people. And so I hear people saying things like, well, we gave you this and you get these special rights, and they don't know what they're talking about. So another thing that comes to mind too is I really think we're lucky in this state to have Indian education for all, and to really protect that and make sure that gets implemented in all the schools. And I know that there's probably going to be more challenges to that because of DEI. And so really helping people understand that we're we're in a separate category than what people think of when they think of DEI, and helping people understand our status as tribal citizens and all of that and all that entails. Uh, and I think Indian education for all is really important because I think if you ask the average person, well, what are the tribes in Montana, would they know? And do people in Montana even know that there's a difference between somebody who's Salish and somebody who's Blackfeet? Like, what are the differences? They're two different tribes, two different cultures. So a lot of people just don't have a fundamental understanding of who we are on any level. And what's one of the chances that we have to educate people is through Indian education for all. So I think that's important to protect that. And then, of course, our tribal colleges also, as federal funding for tribal colleges is being threatened. One thing I know about funding for tribal colleges is that our tribal college has a lot of non-natives who go there. And those non-native students are not funded on an equal level that non-native students who go to the University of Montana or Montana State get funded. And that has to change. So, because that benefits our community too. Everyone who goes to SKC benefits our community in some way. I used to be a teacher there, and a lot of my former students, when I go to the doctor in Polson, I see some of my former students working there as nurses. So it just adds so much to our community, but funding for tribal colleges is going to be a struggle, I think, in ways that we cannot yet imagine or anticipate. And yeah, I think that's all I can think of for now. And also there's just another resource too that I'm really proud of that Julie's just finishing now. It started out as a book about the history of our tribal council, because every tribe should have that. Every tribe should have resources about their tribal council. You should go back, people should be able to open a book or a resource and see who their tribal council people were in 1975 and what kinds of things that they did by decade by decade. And so it really turned into a book about tribal sovereignty. So I think that, the more we can educate people about trust responsibilities and tribal sovereignty, we're really going to have to rely on that going forward, as there are more threats to teaching accurate history. So, thank you.
Jobs for our folks, change us to an economy built off of good paying jobs for our folks and get us off the government tit. So jobs. Then has Heather told you what the issue was that I have with her?
Chairman Dolson, yes, I believe I have taxation on fee land. Does that sound about right?
Well, it actually is a little more specific. If you go back to the Montana Territorial Act, it actually draws the boundary of the state of Montana as it is. And then it provides further, and I'll just read the language to you. Provided further that nothing in this act contained shall be construed to include any territory which by treaty with an Indian tribe, with any Indian tribes is not within without the consent of the said tribe to be included within the territorial limits or jurisdiction of any state or territory, but all such territory shall be accepted out of the boundaries and constitute no part of the territory of Montana. So my question to her was, how did our reservation here, which was here long before there was a Montana, by treaty, how did it become part of Montana? I've never been able to find that answer. And that's a specific question, but it's definitely one dealing with sovereignty. And the argument was brought up in Colorado at one point, and when Colorado was admitted to the Union, their Enabling Act did not contain that exception, whereas their Territorial Act did. And the court, I forget which court it was, basically said since the language didn't survive the Enabling Act, then the right didn't survive. But the Enabling Act for Montana says Montana as presently described becomes Montana. I think the exception survives in Montana. And I've asked anybody and everybody I can think of to tell me when we became part of Montana or how. And the best answer I've ever gotten was, well, it's got to be superseded somewhere. And so that was the question I had to Heather, and she was looking. But it's been a couple of years now. But all of the above. It's really, really some important topics that we got here. So
Thank you, Chairman. It definitely wasn't described to me that way, so I appreciate you giving me some more information that I can go back to the Indian Law Clinic and talk to Professor Stark, because I think he was maybe not understanding completely either what the question was. So I'm definitely interested, just as you are.
well, I remember when I presented it to Jordan.
I'm looking too.
he turned and walked away too.
It's a good question. Well, I appreciate everybody's input and priorities here. I guess the next thing that I wanted to do is ask if we could have your support in moving forward in this project by either participation or giving us a point of contact as we move forward. Our first meeting will be held on November 7th and 8th down at the University of Montana, it'll be in Missoula. I'm still working on a location, but hoping to engage all of our tribal leaders from all of our reservations in tribal communities, as well as our MAIC. And so we would love, we weren't sure who to reach out to or who you would like to, if there was someone that you would be willing to share with us for that meeting, and also giving us a point of contact so that we can share back what comes of that meeting and any future meetings.
I'm sure we'll have a lot of interest, actually. Definitely you can contact through me, but James?
Yeah, are you asking for a council member to participate or?
Whatever you all think is most important. I think council would be great if you have time for that. It's up to you.
Volunteer to help, but I can.
I'm definitely interested.
Great.
If all 10 of us show up, will it be a problem?
No, I think, it's interesting to hear some of the priorities that you guys have discussed, and especially Councilwoman Finley, your discussion about ensuring that education is happening through IEFA and about political classification. That's come up a lot on campus. So Carla Bird, who used to be the BCC Tribal College president, and I and the director of the American Indian Student Services program have been tapped a lot in those conversations regarding tuition waivers, housing. It goes on and on. So I would love to continue to work on all of these priorities that you guys have discussed, but we'll make sure to get out an invitation for you all to participate. I know that the university would love to have you on campus.
Yeah, and I think if we do our jobs correctly and at the end we're able to get these policy, even, 1, 2, or 3 kind of common policies across tribes in Montana, we'd certainly probably come back and ask for resolution of support, just because we know that when things are in common like that, it's very powerful. You all know the game. Like, you get your lobbyist, you have your team, everybody's out there, and you get things done, just like you heard and you talked about today. And so we may be back to ask for that. And of course, this meeting, I think, is going to really bring those priorities more into focus. What I heard a lot from everybody who spoke was a lot of education still needs to happen. And I think both Senators Margeau could speak to, strengthening. There used to be a time when state legislators had to go through tribal lessons, and now it's optional. And basically, you kind of know what happens when things become optional. It gets really difficult to get that education through. And so there are issues like that, policies for tribes and Native people can become strengthened when the people who are pushing those red and green buttons actually have some little tiny bit of information about what tribal sovereignty is, political classification, what takes Indians out of the mainstream sort of DEI processes, and can't think of tribes in that manner. And so education stuff, a lot about consultation and working with the state, the DOT, what's happening, where are they in consultation? Are they coming to ask your opinions? Are they coming to talk to you? And so I can see common issues like that would both benefit individual tribes and also be in common as an agenda that could be pushed forward. And so just a lot of thought like that will kind of get into the nitty gritty during the 7th and 8th. It's also a big football game that's focused on Native heritage that day. And so we're working on securing tickets as well.
Jennifer.
Tom, were you the one that mentioned meaningful consultation, or was that you, James? But what is meaningful consultation? Because we met with a state legislator who talked to an Indian in the hallway and said, "Oh, I met with CSKT." And I said, "I don't remember that. Was I gone that day, the day that you came and talked to us?" And then he just had some snide remark towards me. And so people do that a lot. I talked to an Indian at Walmart, or I don't know, whatever. So that is really important.
James.
Yeah, just on that subject, we had the National Indian Gaming Commission do that to us back many years ago, and we had to sue them. And really good leader that we lost, Ernie Stevens, kind of disagreed with me on that. Why are you suing the NIGC? They're our friends. I said, well, they're wrong. They're wrong on this instance. But I was going to tell you, a good friend of yours, Madeline Quinlan, she retired from the president of MBPC. Now I'm in that spot. So she's now the treasurer. So yeah.
Well, congratulations, I think.
Thank you. I was definitely nervous. I didn't think I'd be nervous, but when you go through all that, I was like, yeah, I'm honored, but was a little nervous. So, but yeah, she'd been a good president of our board, and so it was good to learn from her as well.
And Christina, don't get me wrong. My question about Montana State is a tax question. If we're not Montana, how can they tax us at all?
It's probably why we're having all these hurdles. People are hiding the ball.
Shane, go ahead.
Yeah, just want to let you guys know. So last session, I actually carried a bill that requires that the legislative body now do a training on Montana tribes, including Indian law, history of Indian policy, tribal member rights, and it needs to be updated regularly. The handbook that used to be put together, that committee that is supposed to work on that is the State Tribal Relations Committee and the State Director of Indian Affairs, who are supposed to collaborate with each other and staff and outreach to tribes, as the committee has done a good job of going out to tribes to do. So just wanted to let you all know that's now in place. But the efforts of the committee, the hope is that those committee members continue to reach out to tribes and have meetings with tribes like they are already doing. So if there's any feedback on that, once that process goes into place, let me know, and I can help tweak that or make that bill better too for all of you.
Senator Margeau, can I just ask you a question? This is Denise. I'm wondering, what is the process for that, and where, I know they're coming out to tribes, you said, but is there going to be a completion of that book? And will there be the ability to have input into that public document prior to its publication?
Yeah, so right now the way it's written, there's supposed to be resources. Right now there's a tribal handbook that's updated very seldomly. And this legislation requires that they now do that regularly. We didn't put it in there as like 6 months or a year, but now there's at least something in statute that requires that the materials be updated regularly, not, once every 10 years or whatever. But the collaboration effort would be, the committee taking public comment, and tribes coming and participating with the committee to share information with them on the types of information they'd like to see in the training. So it was very challenging to get that bill through, especially with all the DEI chatter and stuff that was going on at the time, the national level. And a lot of people took great liberty than what the legislation actually said. And so I had to really kind of work with people to kind of dial that in. And so I think it landed in a good spot, but that would be with the tribes and the committee and the director of Indian Affairs kind of collaborating together and going through the public comment process.
All right, thanks. Well, thank you all for your tremendous leadership on many, many fronts, and just know it's appreciated and seen out there. But we look to you for always the work that you're doing and really appreciate it.
And thank you for the work you've done, Denise, and every position you've had. So,
And give Senator Juneau our greetings as well.
I will, for sure.
Thank you all for your time today. Appreciate it.
Safe travels.
Can we go into executive for the last issue?
We will go out of regular into
We've been in and out of motion.
My dear choice contract. Yep. For BB.
Thank you. Really, thank you again for letting me walk in. I appreciate it. Have a good week.
Thanks, Council. And Zach, thank you for a good presentation. You hit a lot of key points.
Yep, thanks, Zach.
Did we ever get your executive issue, Jennifer? Thinking we did. In executive. We'll go out of regular back into executive, Jen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. As I mentioned,
Chehoy.